Chapter 79. The headless Hitorigami took a few steps back. Then, his body twisted and turned into a beam of bloodlight that shot into the sky. The demonic god and Hitorigami continued to devour each other. "Good dog, I'll break your legs in the wild." The demonic god glared at him. "Are you going to help me or not?" The demonic god approached him quickly. His right hand turned into a giant bloody hand and pressed down on the blood mist. Guyu was speechless. The demonic god roared in a frenzy. Outside the arena, the white-haired old man said with a smile. Then, his body slowly faded and disappeared. At the peak of the mountain, the white-haired old man's figure slowly appeared. He walked to the side of the pillar pagoda. He wanted to break through the shackles of the earth and continue fighting. He was not willing to end like this. The ability of the reincarnation contract was activated. The 3 hours of body usage ended. Seeing this, the demonic god raised his head and flung Hitorigami's head away. At the same time, he leaped and pounced toward the blood mist. "Demonic god, restrain your power. North Sea, let me go. I'll give you infinite power." The demonic god said again. "It's been so many years. I don't hate you anymore," the white-haired old man said again. Hearing this, the demonic god fell silent. The anger in his heart suddenly subsided. "Do you want to possess him again?" the white-haired old man asked in confusion. At this time, Guyu, who had regained control of his body, looked at the blood mist. His heart was also filled with unwillingness. He had suffered for hundreds of thousands of years. Today, he finally had a chance to kill Hitorigami. He was not willing to let Hitorigami escape. Sun Chi was speechless. Just when he was about to succeed, he failed again. How long would he have to wait for the next time? 10,000 years? 100,000 years? "Boss, you're back." Sun Chi's face lit up with joy. At the same time, he secretly turned off the live broadcast. "North Sea, do me a favor." This time, the demonic god's tone was gentle. In the burial ground, Guyu and Sun Chi, who had also fallen to the ground, stared at each other. Their vision blurred again. When it became clear again, Guyu and Sun Chi were shocked to find themselves in front of the white-haired old man's wooden hut. Golden chains appeared as the demonic god struggled. They flickered with a brilliant light and sealed the entire area. No matter how hard the demonic god struggled, he could not resist the power of the seal. In the depths of the cliffs of desperation. "Bring back the person I've possessed." The negative emotions in the demonic god's body surged again, and his body began to swell. However, what frightened Hitorigami the most was that in the battle of devouring, the blood in his body was flowing faster than the demonic god's. If this continued, not only would he not be able to devour the demonic god, but he would also be devoured by the demonic god. "Release." The white-haired old man imitated the ancient language and said, "Biming, I don't need your pity. Scram." A pair of scarlet eyes appeared on the mountain peak. Sun Chi smiled awkwardly as he watched Guyu leave and then looked up at the white-haired old man, who was also staring at him. "Doggy, you've changed. You actually turned off the live broadcast. Don't let me see you in the wild, or I'll definitely tame you into a mount." I promised him. I have to fulfill my promise. Looking at the black skeleton next to the pillar, a trace of nostalgia appeared in the white-haired old man's eyes. He then reached out and caressed the pillar. In the face of this situation, Hitorigami's eyes revealed a thick hatred. Then, with a thought, the 7 blood snakes released their restraints at the same time. At the same time, they twisted their necks and violently tore off their own heads. Roar. "Hitorigami, Mother of Astra's cur dog, what do you mean by this? Why did you turn off the live broadcast? I still don't know what's going on." "All right, it's rare for you to beg me. I'll help you." If possible, Guyu was willing to continue lending his body to the demonic god so that the demonic god could kill Hitorigami before returning him. Smack! Guyu slapped the back of Sun Chi's head. "What do you think? Stupid dog, go away. What are you laughing at?" The white-haired old man kicked Sun Chi out of the room and slammed the wooden door shut. However, just as his palm was about to touch the blood mist, a contract map appeared in the demonic god's mind. Then, the demonic god's body froze, and he fell from the sky. "What? Why are you here again?" The white-haired old man looked at the two of them in disgust. Having tried countless times, the demonic god was already used to the white-haired old man's rejection. Looking at the darkened live broadcast room, the comments section was filled with curses. Don't be silly. If I really leave, who's going to chat with you? However, it was too late now. The blood mist had already disappeared, and Guyu fell heavily to the ground. You can fool others, but why are you fooling me too? The white-haired old man knocked on the pillar pagoda with a helpless look. In the burial ground, without the demonic god's buff, Guyu's HP was reduced by half. Upon hearing this, the white-haired old man's eyes widened. This isn't like you. You big bastard. You actually kept your promise? Oh, you mean you want to climb the mountain? Didn't I tell you not to go? The white-haired old man took out a cane from his back and looked like he was ready to fight. During the demonic god's possession, he could feel the anger in the demonic god's heart. The demonic god's hatred for Hitorigami was far deeper than he had imagined. I've never pitied you. I even wanted to kill you once. The white-haired old man laughed as he looked at the blood I formed by the black mist. At this moment, the door opened with a squeak. I don't need a friend. I don't need one. Get lost, the demonic god said fiercely. At this moment, the golden chain suddenly tightened, forcefully suppressing the demonic god's enhancement. This made the demonic god scream in pain. You heard me wrong. I said I lost something on the road. Go back and look for it. I'll leave you here, dog. I promise I won't climb the mountain. As the white-haired old man spoke, a surge of energy flowed through his arm into the pillar pagoda. Suddenly, the golden chain stopped tightening. Boss, the demonic god? Sun Chi raised his head and asked cautiously. Just as Guyu was about to answer Sun Chi, a white light swept past and carried Guyu and Sun Chi toward the cliffs of desperation. Facing the skeptical white-haired old man, Guyu promised again that he would not climb the mountain. Then, he quickly turned around and left. The confused Guyu thought for a while and thought that the demonic god had brought him here. So he said, Dog, stay here. I have to go up. Oh, what's going on? Why did the demonic god disappear? And Hitorigami seems to have run away. Has invincible loneliness recovered, or is he still in the demonic god's possession? This is an unsolved mystery. Chapter 80. I've already sensed Hitorigami's aura. He's here. Find him and kill him. How much? Just tell me. Evil Eye Stare. After activating the Evil Eye Stare, all targets who look into your eyes will be eroded by negative emotions. There is a chance for them to be confused, weak, and other negative states. This ability can only be performed in the evil body state. Consumes 40% of blood force. Dog, let's go. Guyu had no choice but to step forward and carry Sun Chi. When the black fog dissipated, Guyu found himself at the peak of the mountain. The pair of evil eyes were staring at him. After bidding farewell to the white-haired old man, Guyu brought Sun Chi down the mountain. Guyu is stunned. What does that mean? Blood burning summons hellfire to burn a large area with the user as the center. The damage is 20 meters in diameter. This ability can only be performed in the evil body state. Consumes 30% of blood force. Take this stupid dog away. A magnificent city stood on the ground, and in the sky above the city, there were many coffins floating. The city was empty like a ghost city. Guyu was stunned. He thought of the introduction on the character panel. It seemed that he needed to consult the demonic god for his character growth. Character growth introduction. This character growth has no direction. You need to consult the demonic god. Guyu chuckled. Demonic god, do you have any other orders? If not, can you send me down a mountain? As soon as the demonic god finished speaking, a scene appeared in Guyu's mind. The demonic god did not reply this time. The black fog appeared again and surrounded Guyu. The demonic god was confused. During this period of time, Sun Chi was babbling nonsense along the way. He was making all kinds of noises, and Guyu was so angry that he almost threw Sun Chi to the ground and used the dog-beating fist technique on him. Guyu took a few steps forward and knocked on the wooden door. Old man, I'm here to pick up my dog. Open the door. Why wouldn't I dare? I'm not afraid of death. Guyu chuckled. Upon hearing this, Guyu immediately thought of the earth-shattering battle between the demonic god and Hitorigami. He was so excited that his face turned red. The muscles on his body were like dragons. His body was obviously taller. A pair of burning evil eyes appeared on his back. Vitality LV1. Recovers 1% per minute after consumption. Can consume vitality to speed up recovery. While Guyu was in a trance, an image of a churning sea of blood appeared before his eyes. In the middle of the sea of blood, a purple seed was shimmering with a dense purple mist under the nourishment of the sea of blood. Looking at the new quest, Guyu was stunned for a few seconds. He nodded at Evil Eye and accepted the quest. Sun Chi broke free from Guyu's hand and scurried to the ground. He stood up slowly with his left hand on his waist and his right hand pointing at the white-haired old man. Boss demonic god, how can I become stronger? After the body was reconstructed, Guyu's body underwent a tremendous change. Ugh, demonic god, I crave power. Guyu said bitterly. Class abilities, demonic god apostle, evil body, blood combustion, blood absorption, evil gaze at the demonic god. The demonic god did not reply, but the black fog at the peak of the mountain suddenly thickened. Then it surged toward Guyu in a frenzy. Guyu felt helpless when he thought about having to climb the mountain again. I'm not leaving. I still want to drink. I won't leave until I win today. Sun Chi staggered as he stood up. He staggered a few steps forward and fell to the ground again. Guyu realized something and quickly said, Boss, what do you want me to do? I'll go through fire and water without hesitation. If you can master any of the laws of heaven and earth, you'll be qualified to become a god. As long as the great emperor grants you amnesty, you'll be able to become a new god. Guyu clenched his fist and felt the surging power in his body. He was excited. Blood absorption. Any blood within a 10 to 30 meter radius can be manipulated and absorbed into the body after this ability is activated. This ability can only be used in the state of evil body and consumes 10% to 50% of blood force. Guyu, demonic god apostle, an inheritance granted by the demonic god. The body is blessed by the god and recovers 1 point of health per second. Guyu was in a good mood. He did not expect to receive an inheritance so easily. There was nothing better than this. Sure enough, he could stumble upon some kind of opportunity in this game if he wandered around blindly. Class Introduction. After completing the Lucky Quest, you've received the recognition of the demonic god. You've been bestowed with the crystallized seed of the demonic god's power. You've mastered the beginner level of blood force. You've received a special energy bar, blood force. Indelible Hatred, Class Promotion Quest, Frowny Face Evil Body, Beginner. After activating this ability, it consumes 30% of blood force and increases all attributes by 150%. Lasts for 30 minutes and can release derivative abilities. I admire you more and more. When I was controlling your body, I realized that you had no fear at all. You're very good. The demonic god's voice rang out again. After a while, the door opened with a squeak. The white-haired old man walked out with Sun Chi, whose face was flushed red. Do you know that I've given you a blood seed? If you can successfully cultivate it, you'll be able to master one of the laws of heaven and earth in the underworld, the dark blood path. Do you know what that means? Stop it, stupid dog. Guyu was completely speechless. He picked up one of Sun Chi's legs and carried him on his shoulder. I'm not leaving. Fill it up. We'll fight until dawn. Don't underestimate me. I can drink a lot. Quest description. Head to the evil nightmare city and kill the weak Hitorigami. Complete the demonic god's request. There is no time limit for this quest. Guyu smiled awkwardly when he realized that he had said the wrong thing. Demonic god, you're my boss now. Teach me how to become stronger. Guyu felt helpless as he looked at the mountain peak that pierced through the clouds. Although he was only watching the battle between the demonic god and Hitorigami, his body was still affected. A notification of a weakened state appeared on the attribute menu. Strings of data also appeared at this moment. The Rune Master template that modified Guyu was stripped off by the artifact. Luwu did not intend to return the materials that were used to create the Rune Warrior's body. While obtaining the demonic god's power, The artifact continued to reconstruct Guyu's body. Fortunately, the reconstruction consumed the power of inheritance provided by the demonic god. Bailey only needed to create a vessel. Even so, it still cost Lu Wu 1,000 soul coins. Quest reward. Receive the demonic god's gift, class advancement. The difficulty of cultivating a blood seed is far beyond your imagination. Perhaps you won't be able to cultivate a blood seed, even after hundreds of thousands of years. However, I can help you speed up the process. The demonic god's voice appeared in Guyu's mind again. After the white-haired old man finished speaking, he threw the drunk Sun Chi forward. Do you want to become stronger? The demonic eye stared at Guyu as his seductive voice appeared in Guyu's mind. Aren't you afraid? The demonic god was surprised by Guyu's attitude. Although the difficulty of this quest was high, at least there was no time limit. As long as he continued to level up and grow stronger, coupled with the continuous expansion of his guild, he believed that he would have the chance to complete the quest. Demonic God's Apostle. When the black fog dissipated, Guyu realized that he was already in front of the wooden hut. Just as Guyu sighed and was about to climb up, a cloud of black fog floated down from the peak of the mountain and enveloped him within it. Then he felt a sense of weightlessness. Your dog is quite interesting when he's drunk. The white-haired old man leaned against the doorframe and took a sip of fruit wine as he laughed. Chapter 81. After the battle between the demonic god and Hitorigami, the players had another goal. That was to possess the power to destroy the world like the demonic god and Hitorigami. This shocking battle had completely destroyed the pride in the players' hearts. It was only then that they realized that there was such a terrifying existence in this world. The players also understood that the two biggest advantages, numbers and immortality, were completely useless in this kind of battle. It was also this battle that gave the players a greater ambition and inspired them to continue to become stronger. At the same time, a large number of mage players in the forum began to complain that the mage class change was still not available. They felt that as players of other classes continued to change their class had become a drain. Lu Wu originally planned to put all 3 mage templates into use at once. However, since the players strongly requested for it, Lu Wu decided to put the mage class change template that Bailey had already created into the game first. After this update, the mage players who logged into the game were pleasantly surprised to find that the mage class change had finally appeared. The screen flashed to the familiar scene of the class introduction. However, what surprised the players was that the appearance of the new class had changed so much that it did not look like a human at all. A humanoid creature that was completely composed of blue energy was standing in the middle of the scene. Class introduction, frowny face 5 elements warlock. Abandoning the physical body for the truth while comprehending the power of the 5 elements of heaven and earth, transforming into the spirit of the 5 elements, controlling the power of the 5 elements of heaven and earth, and exploring the ultimate meaning of the 5 elements. Class specialty, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth spirit bodies can be freely switched, controlling the 5 elements of heaven and earth. Equipment equipped. 5 elements bracelet class requirement. The starting class must be a mage. After the introduction dimmed, the blue figure moved. Water element turret. As soon as he finished speaking, water columns emerged from the body of the 5 elements warlock. They connected to the ground and firmly fixed him on the spot. A cannon barrel formed by water elements slowly appeared in front of him. What happened next left the players dumbfounded. The body of the 5 elements warlock began to glow, and blue energy flowed continuously into the cannon barrel in front of him. Suddenly, countless water balls were shot out. The sky was instantly covered by a large number of water balls, falling densely into the distance. Water Dragon Cannon. Another skill was released. The blue ribbon that was connected to the cannon barrel began to glow, and the cannon barrel began to expand. With a loud bang, a roaring water dragon shot out from the barrel and crashed into the distance. Boom! A deep pit appeared at the place where it was hit, and ice crystals appeared in the pit. Then, the screen paused, and the skill introduction appeared. Water Elemental Body. In the water elemental state, The user can use their own body as the source of spells and carry out super long-range and large-scale attacks. Note: the user cannot move in this form. The introduction disappeared, and the scene continued. This time, the color of the five elements warlock's spirit body began to change, turning into a khaki color in a moment. Under the expectant eyes of the players, the five elements warlock stretched out his hands and pressed them down. Suddenly, a large amount of soil on the ground was attracted, peeling off and floating up. In front of the five elements warlock, a berserker appeared. At the same time that berserker appeared, he launched an attack on the five elements warlock. At this time, the five elements warlock grabbed forward with his right hand. Earth prison. Two earth arms suddenly appeared under the feet of the berserker, firmly grasping his feet and fixing him in place. Then, the soil tumbled and quickly wrapped him up from his feet up. At this time, the soil floating beside the five elements warlock began to solidify and turned into sharp earth spears. As the five elements warlock waved them, they suddenly shot towards the berserker wrapped in soil. Blood splashed, and the soil softened and slid down the berserker's body. The berserker inside had a dull look in his eyes, and there were several bloody holes on his body. He was obviously dead. Earth elemental body manipulates the power of the earth. Comprehensive abilities tend to control and self-protection. The scene continued. The five elements warlock's body turned golden, and his whole body shone with golden light. He looked extremely extraordinary. In front of him, there were five berserkers this time. Facing the berserkers, golden lines appeared on the surface of the five elements warlock's body. Bang, bang, bang. This time, the five elements warlock did not fight back, but let the berserkers hit him. However, the defense of the gold elemental body was extremely high. Although there were bloody words jumping above his head, they were all in single digits. Obviously, all the damage did not break through the defense of the gold elemental body. After a full minute of slashing, the scene paused. Gold elemental body gained a strong defense in a short period of time. This ability has no offensive ability in a metal-free environment. In a specific environment with a large number of metal substances, it can be transformed into a gold spell with extremely violent attack power. Water elemental body, fire elemental body, wood elemental body, gold elemental body, and earth elemental body were displayed one by one. The new class advancement of the sorcerer who could change his fighting form will made the wizards who were watching the class demonstration extremely excited. Crayon_Shinchan. What did I say? I said that us sorcerers are the best. Did you see that? If I encounter a cursed apostle in the future, I'll have a gold elemental body and be invulnerable. Black Wizard. Gold elemental body is activated. I'm laughing at your hard work, and I even want to make a cup of coffee. Laughing emoji. Assassin_Creed replied to Black Wizard. Our cursed apostle's Prajna scarification has real damage and can break defense. If I stab myself a few times, you'll have to stab yourself a few times. Laughing emoji. Watermelon_Taro. My favorite is still the water elemental body. This is a living magic cannon. So cool. Thunder_Wizard King. Why isn't my favorite thunder elemental control? Crying emoji. But now, among the five forms, my favorite is the water elemental body. The magic cannon is so cool. A_Mammoth. That's enough. Seeing that you sorcerers finally have a class change, I'll kill a few sorcerers in the wild tonight to liven things up. Laughing emoji. Shuali_the_strongest. Why do I feel that the fire elemental body is the coolest? Extreme explosive damage. Although the defense is very low, this is the fragile state that sorcerers should have. Also, I'm an assassin, evil smile. Old_sorcerer_player. Obviously the earth elemental body. The feeling of controlling the earth elemental body is so cool. Groot. I like all the abilities of the five elements. Crayon_Shinchan. Anyway, in a word, sorcerers are awesome. Chapter 82. After the Mage class advancement update, the price of materials in the game's auction house increased again. At the same time, there there was a new NPC in the game, the Decomposing Master, who specialized in the Mage class advancement. The 5 Elemental Warlock's class advancement requirements were rather special. Players needed to find materials of all 5 elements and then decompose them with the Decomposing Master to obtain the 5 elemental points needed for the class advancement. As long as it was an item with the corresponding attribute, it could be decomposed into 5 elemental points. For example, ordinary wood and weeds could be decomposed into a small amount of wood elemental points by the Decomposing Master. However, only when 10,000 wood elemental points were collected would the player be considered to have completed the wood elemental mission. It was the same for the other attributes. However, the amount of 5 elemental points that could be obtained from ordinary soil, wood, or ores was too little. If one really relied on these items to advance, it would take a long time to accumulate the points. Not only the class advancement, but the advancement of the 5 Elemental Warlock in the later stages also required materials of various attributes to solidify the body of the 5 Elemental. This caused the price of the spiritual materials that could provide a large amount of corresponding attribute points to soar. Due to the uniqueness of the collecting growth type class, Lu Wu's requirements for this class advancement were much lower. As long as the player had enough points for one attribute, they could initiate the class advancement. Of course, after the class advancement, they could only transform into a state where they had enough points. There was never a lack of rich players in the game. The materials in the auction house were quickly swept away. Because of this, there were many 5 elemental warlocks in the game who could transform their bodies into elemental forms. It was a sight to behold. In the game, the development of the sea welcomed an opportunity. At the void ocean, under the gloomy sky, the sea breeze howled. A black warship broke through the waves and sailed forward. On the hull of the warship, there was a single-horned monster drawn with plant sap. Upon closer inspection, one would realize that the monster looked similar to the demonic god. There were more than 10 people on the warship. Each of them was wearing a red outfit and a white cloak with the hideous head of the demonic god after he transformed into the great demonic netherbody. This was the first time they set out on the demonic god warship after it was manufactured. The 10 people in the guild met each other on the forum. Since they had the same interest, they spontaneously formed this guild. As for the logo used by the guild, they paid someone to draw it. After watching the demonic god's battle videos, they had been thoroughly shocked by the demonic god's strength. They had even begun to worship the demonic god and treated him as the guild symbol. But at this moment, they were swaying left and right as they hugged onto the objects they could lean on. Their faces were pale, and they seemed to be in a sorry state. Boss, Blarg. The one who spoke was a chubby man. As soon as he opened his mouth, he couldn't help but vomit. Fatty, you'd better hold it in. This is the first time the Demonic God Guild has set sail. We have to look dashing. Ugh. Just as he spoke, and Shung, the leader of the guild, could not help but vomit. This vomiting was out of control, and everyone on the ship began to vomit as well. It could be seen that although the crew members on this ship were all wearing top-grade equipment, they were all very young and had not experienced the great winds and waves of the sea. After several hours of sailing, they had long reached the limit of their endurance. Boss, look, there's an island. There are islands. Fatty was happily vomiting, but when he raised his head, he saw an island in the distance. He immediately shouted excitedly. Seeing this, and Shung hurriedly propped himself up to the edge of the ship and noticed the island not far away. Pull to shore, pull to shore. And Shung finally regained some energy. He hurriedly urged the warship to change its direction and began to sail towards the island. Upon receiving the order, the demonic god warship roared internally. It slowly changed its direction and sailed towards the island. Seeing that they could finally reach the shore, the members on the ship were filled with tears. This voyage had really tormented them. After getting close to the island, the few of them scrambled down the stairs that extended from the ship. After getting ashore, everyone laid on the beach with a sense of joy in their hearts. It was as if they had just survived a disaster. Boss, in the future, the direction of upgrading the warship must be based on stability. Don't make it dashing. I really can't take it anymore. Fatty said with lingering fear. The other members of the guild nodded in agreement. It was obvious that this voyage had left a shadow in them. After resting for a while, the few of them stood up and began to observe the situation around them. At this moment, member Achi pointed into the distance and shouted excitedly, "Look, there's a village and people." Everyone turned around and looked. A small fishing village filled with wooden houses appeared in their vision. Dried fish hung on the door of every house in this fishing village. At this time, there were constantly strange people holding harpoons, sticks, and other weapons walking out of this fishing village. They were somewhat similar to humans, but there were also obvious differences. These people had blue faces, and there were 3 gill-like cracks on their faces. Each of them was burly and strong, exuding a valiant aura. Seeing that Shung and the others were staring at them, the Gillfish clansmen immediately raised their weapons and shouted, as if to deter them. Seeing this scene, Shung and the others also took out their weapons. What a joke! They were not afraid of fighting. The actions of Shung and the others seemed to have angered the Gillfish clansmen. Suddenly, a group of people rushed out of the village and rushed towards them. "Get ready to fight." Shung shouted, and the members were also ready to fight. However, they were immediately dumbfounded. At this time, hundreds of Gillfish clansmen suddenly rushed out of the jungle beside the beach with spears in their hands. What the F***CK? Run! Seeing so many Gillfish clansmen, Shung and the others, who were originally prepared to fight, quickly turned around and ran towards the other side of the coast. However, they obviously underestimated the strong physique of the Gillfish clansmen. In less than 10 minutes, they were caught up and surrounded in the middle. The battle broke out in an instant. However, what Shung and the others did not expect was that the Gillfish clansmen had strong fighting skills. Even if they had good equipment, they were still beaten to the ground by the sticks. Unexpectedly, the Gillfish clansmen did not kill them. Instead, they tied them up and carried them back to the fishing village. The sky was full of stars. The fishing village that was shrouded in the night was particularly lively. Clusters of bonfires were lit in the village, and the Gillfish clansmen were singing and dancing around the big fire in the center. It was full of laughter. However, Shung and the others who were in the middle of the fishing village could not be happy because they realized that they were about to be eaten. Being in a state of battle, they could not exit the game at all, which made them very depressed. Chapter 83. Looking at the big pot in the middle of the village, Shung and the others looked a little desperate. Looking at the fatty beside him, whose eyes were also lifeless, Shung said, "Isn't it exciting? You just arrived, and you're going to be cooked and eaten." The fatty was speechless. "We have to take revenge." After a while, the fatty said with a sad and indignant face, "Yes, we have to take revenge. I've never been eaten in my life. They're the first who dare to eat me. They have to pay the price." The one who spoke was a slightly immature young man. At this moment, he looked sad and indignant, as if he had been greatly wronged. Just as they thought, they were soon stripped naked and carried into the big pot. Fortunately, they were all men, so it was not too embarrassing. However, there was one thing that surprised the warriors of the Gillfish clan. When the equipment and weapons were taken off their bodies, they suddenly disappeared. After searching for a long time, the warriors of the Gillfish clan still could not find the equipment and beat Shung and the others up in anger. This made Shung and the others so angry that they cursed. Why had they ever been so wronged? They could only remember this grudge. However, this was just the beginning. The grievance that followed almost made them cry. At this moment, a burly man with a naked upper body came to the fatty with a cloth bag. He grabbed a handful of green powder from the bag and handed it to the fatty. The fatty was speechless. "Hurrah!" The burly man glared at the fatty and pushed the green powder in his hand to the fatty's mouth. Damn it! The fatty felt that if he was not tied up, he would definitely fight to the death with this guy. Not only did he want to cook and eat him, he even wanted him to eat the seasoning. Didn't he know that a Taoist priest could be killed, but not humiliated? Bastard! Go to hell! This was the fatty's only way to fight back. Seeing the fatty's reaction, the burly man stuffed the seasoning in his hand back into his pocket. Then he took the fatty out of the big pot. After a brutal beating, the fatty, who had decided to fight to the end, swallowed all the seasoning with tears in his eyes. Seeing the fatty's experience, the rest of the people in the pot trembled. Facing the flavor-enhancing powder that was handed to them, they swallowed it decisively, fearing that they would be beaten again before they died. The green powder was ground from an unknown plant. It melted in the mouth and slid down the throat along with the saliva, making people salivate. Following that, the fragrance spread from his stomach upwards, spreading to his lungs as he breathed, and then to his entire body, causing his entire body to be filled with fragrance. However, this only made them more depressed. Woola, the alien man, nodded with satisfaction, then took out a handful of red powder from another pocket and sprinkled it on the heads of Nshung and the others. A pungent smell entered their trachea through their mouths and noses, causing them to sneeze several times. You mother ***. I'll remember this. When we revive, I'll ***ck you to death. The few of them cursed out loud, but they were powerless to resist. As time passed, bubbles appeared in the pot, and the water temperature finally reached the boiling point. Damage numbers appeared above their heads. Very quickly, their HP dropped to the point of death. All of them lost consciousness and slid into the pot. Finally, they turned into black smoke and were absorbed by the divine equipment. The people of the Gillfish clan who witnessed this scene were dumbfounded. What about food? In Dragon City, a chubby man took off his virtual reality helmet and slammed the table. I'm so mad. How dare you eat me? I'll teach you a lesson. As he spoke, Liu Pang entered the guild chat group and typed a line of words. Revenge. We want revenge. And Sheng, I'm mad too. Go to the forum and hire a few masters. Gather more people, and we'll take revenge after we revive. 7. I'm not a gentleman if I don't take revenge. Sun Shuqing. I've never suffered such grievances since I was a child. My brother is from the Great Dragon Guild. I'll borrow some people from him. Lu Yuan. I'll also go to the forum and hire a few people. Everyone, go and find people first. Gather at the resurrection point in 3 hours to take revenge. A revenge operation began. Late at night, the demonic god battleship sailed out of the coast again. This time, it was different from before. There were more than 100 people on the battleship. For this operation, and Sheng, Fatty, and the others spent a lot of money to hire these professional players. The purpose was to take revenge for being cooked. After zooming in on the map on the upper right corner, and Sheng confirmed the location and began to change the direction of the demonic god battleship. Fortunately, they had already been to Fallen Fish Island. The fog on the map had been dispelled, so they could still find a way. With the previous lesson learned, and Sheng and the others spent money to buy some materials at the auction house before they set off. They upgraded the navigation stability of the demonic god battleship. The stability and speed of the battleship had been greatly improved, so they would not get seasick again. It could be said that they were determined to take revenge this time. Looking at the island on the map that was getting closer and closer, hatred appeared in the eyes of Sheng and the others. They could not help but tremble when they thought of the various kinds of abuse they had been subjected to. After the upgrade of the battleship, they saw the island that they hated so much in less than 2 hours. Prepare for battle. Fatty stood up with a pale face and said, Clatter. The group of people behind him who had been prepared all stood up. After the demonic god battleship slowly approached the shore, and Sheng pointed to the fishing village not far from the shore and roared, Kill! Slaughter the village! When everyone heard this, they roared and rushed down the stairs toward the fishing village. I kill! Fatty took the lead and rushed to the front of the team. The arrival of Fatty and the others soon alerted the Gillfish clansmen in the fishing village. Beep! A loud horn sounded from the fishing village. Realizing that there was an enemy attack, the Gillfish clansmen immediately began to pick up their weapons and rushed out of the fishing village. Fatty's eyes quickly locked on the Gillfish clansman who had beaten him up that day. He took the lead and leaped toward that person. After throwing that person to the ground, he raised his hand and slapped that person's face. How dare you hit me? How dare you hit me? The combatants on both sides quickly collided with each other. This time, the players showed their strength. They relied on various powerful skills to kill the Gillfish clansmen, and many of them fell to the ground. Just when the players thought that they were going to win, the horns sounded again. One by one, heads emerged from the bushes at the side. These people immediately joined the battle as soon as they appeared. Moreover, there were more and more Gillfish clansmen. Soon, there were thousands of them, approaching 10,000. This made the players dumbfounded. They had always been oppressing others with their numbers. This was the first time that they were suppressed in terms of numbers. However, during the battle, the players discovered something strange. The Gillfish clansmen did not kill them. They only smashed them to the ground. Then a group of people swarmed over and tied them up. After a while, all the players were beaten black and blue and pinned to the ground. After they were carried back to the fishing village, there were more than 10 cauldrons in the village. There were thousands of Gillfish clansmen watching. More than half of the Gillfish clansmen on the island had come. Seeing so many unfamiliar faces in the fishing village, and Shung realized that the fishing village in front of him was not the only alien clan on Fallen Fish Island. Obviously, there were other villages. Chapter 84. Looking at the cauldrons, and Shung and the others were indescribably sorrowful. They were filled with grief and indignation at the thought of being tortured again. They regretted not being killed in the battle. "Brother, what are they doing?" a hired player asked curiously. The bruised and swollen fat man next to him sucked the blood from his nose and turned to glance at him. "Do you see those cauldrons? It'll be exciting later. You'd better be mentally prepared." The hired man was speechless. Why are there so many foreign clans? 7, a member of the guild, could not help but ask curiously. "It'll be a waste if we can't finish it. We should ask our relatives next door to taste it together." The fat man sighed faintly. Everyone was speechless. While everyone was feeling anxious, an old man of the Gillfish clan walked out from the crowd. He came to the front of the players and examined them carefully. He pinched the players' faces from time to time as if he was picking out pork. This infuriated the players. One of them struggled and spat at the old man. Then, the warrior was dragged out of the crowd by 3 big men of the Gillfish clan. He was brutally beaten until his face was swollen. Everyone trembled at the sight of this. They all looked at the dying warrior on the ground with pity on their faces. They rejoiced in their hearts that they had not acted impulsively. Punishing a chicken to warn the monkeys was indeed effective. This time, no players resisted. They were all pinched by the old man of the Gillfish clan one by one with grief and indignation. After the inspection, the old man of the Gillfish clan came to the center of the village and knelt down. He was murmuring something that they could not understand. The people of the Gillfish clan around him also knelt down with their hands facing the sky, as if they were worshipping. "What's this idiot doing?" 7 asked curiously. "According to my years of gaming experience, he should be thanking the gods for the food," the fat man continued to say faintly from behind. Everyone was unsettled when they heard this. "Hurrah!" The old man of the foreign clan seemed to have finished his prayer. He then looked up to the sky and shouted. Suddenly, the crowd cheered and scattered. They began to carry the cauldrons and start fire. Everyone was speechless. After going through the process of bathing, eating green powder, and sprinkling seasoning, the faces of the hired players turned green. They hadn't been told that they would be cooked and eaten if they lost. This was too much, too barbaric. However, they could not resist the fate of being eaten. Other than cursing loudly, they could not resist at all. At this moment, each and every one of them secretly swore that they would definitely take revenge for this. This time, the number of people who wanted revenge increased once again. Looking at the players who were hired, and Shung and the others felt an inexplicable comfort in their hearts. Sure enough, sharing pain could reduce the pain meter. The fat man seemed very calm now. He was already clear about the cooking process of the Gillfish clan. This time, he learned his lesson and did not resist anymore. He even stretched out his mouth to catch a few pieces of food when the Gillfish clan threw the food into the pot. After chewing and swallowing, the fatty's eyes suddenly widened. "Wow, this thing tastes really good." Hearing this, a few players around the cauldrons also tried to bite a few pieces of the ingredients with their mouths. After eating, They revealed astonished expressions. Delicious. It tastes good. What kind of ingredient is this? This red fruit tastes great. Looking at the people who were insensitive, and Shung's temples throbbed twice. How dare they eat it? Isn't it embarrassing? You don't say. It tastes really good. Ah, Chi, who was next to him, chewed the fruit the size of a longan and said to Enshung with a serious face. Enshung did not want to speak. He just felt embarrassed. Where is the anger of these people? Where is the desire to take revenge? I don't want to be associated with them. However, the water temperature rose relatively slowly. Seeing that everyone was eating happily, Enshung felt bored. He picked up a leaf floating on the water and chewed it. Wow, the taste is really good. Achi was speechless. Looking at Achi's disdainful eyes, Enshung simply ate it. Why could the Gillfish clan eat them, but they could not? Bastard, don't take my fruit. Achi was furious when he found out that Enshung opened his mouth and took away the fruit that he was about to eat. After eating and drinking to their fill, the players lay in the pot and looked at each other, waiting for the arrival of the judgment. Brothers, I have a suggestion. Pretend that you don't know what happened today. Don't tell anyone. Looking at the crowd, Enshung burped and said. Everyone was a little embarrassed when they heard it. Today's encounter made them feel very embarrassed. Everyone nodded in agreement with Enshung's suggestion. In Enshung's heart, he was already preparing for the next deception. He would call more people, and he believed that he could not deal with the Gillfish clan. The water temperature gradually rose, and bloody words began to appear on the players' bodies. The players' camp was annihilated again. As the players died, their bodies once again turned into black mist and were taken back into the artifact. Seeing this scene, the Gillfish clan, who were initially excited, stared at the empty cauldrons and fell into a state of doubt. After the deaths, Enshung and the others got busy and prepared to get another group of people to take revenge. However, before that, he had an idea and posted a post on the forum. I found the Son of the Sea. There are many sons of the sea on this island. There was a screenshot of the coordinates on the map in the game at the bottom of the post. Initially, no one cared about this kind of post. After all, rumors often appeared in the forum. However, this post was inexplicably pushed to the top. 7 and 7. Yes, this is the island. There are sons of the sea. I saw them. I'm not fat. I saw them too. I didn't expect you to find them too. Don't you know how to keep a secret? I want to go there again when I'm stronger. Blood stained the world. My heart aches. I thought I was the only one who knew this secret, but you made it public. I hate you, Master. Crayon_Shinchan. What? The Son of the Sea? Damn, let's go now. Peppa_Boar. Mine. Let's go now. I want the Son of the Sea. Therefore, a large wave of deceived players began to set off for the island of the Gillfish clan. One by one, the tragedies of being eaten were repeated. However, they chose to remain silent and silently pushed Enshung's post to the top. As a result, another wave of players who had been tricked set sail. Chapter 85. Fallen Fish Island. Thousands of members of the Gillfish clan sat on the shore with weapons in their hands, looking at the sea with lifeless eyes. They did not go out to sea to fish or hunt in the jungle on the island today, because they knew that those creatures could come at any time. They had lost count of the number of times they had been here. The constant visits of the players had completely broken their fragile hearts. From the beginning when they thanked the sea god, to the present when they cursed the gods, no one knew how much joy and sorrow they had experienced in their hearts. Ever since the legend of the Son of the Sea appeared on the forum, countless players had sailed to the island according to the coordinates. However, all the players who had experienced the inhumane torture reached a consensus and chose to hide the truth. Then, they silently posted the deceptive posts on the forum so that more players would suffer. The biggest trap in the history of Battle Online had appeared. The Gillfish clan, who were simple and unsophisticated, suffered greatly. A steady stream of players came in waves, and they could hardly entertain them all. Just as they had expected, another warship appeared in the distance after a while. The members of the Gillfish clan felt sad when they saw this scene. Some of them could not help but shed tears. I see it. It's the fallen fish island mentioned on the forum. The members on the warship shouted excitedly. They seem to have seen themselves getting the son of the sea and reaching the pinnacle of their lives. It's really as the forum said. The natives on these islands are very hospitable. Look, they're standing on the shore, waving their weapons to welcome us. The members on the warship said happily as they looked at the members of the Gillfish clan, who stood up and waved their weapons to demonstrate their strength. Seeing that the island was getting closer and closer, the members of the warship stood on the deck and waved at the Gillfish clan enthusiastically in response. The members of the Gillfish clan were devastated when they saw this scene, especially when they saw the smiles on the faces of those creatures. They did not know if these creatures were sick. They knew that they were going to die, but why did they still do it without hesitation? Who gave them the courage? After the warship docked, the members of the warship disembarked with smiles on their faces and walked toward the Gillfish clan, who were running toward them enthusiastically. In a crystal palace at the bottom of the void ocean, the Sea King looked at the old man who was crawling in front of him with an odd expression. Are you saying that a kind of creature comes to Fallen Fish Island every day to die, and you can't stand it? That's not right. The Gillfish clan doesn't have many resources. You should welcome them to die. With enough food, you can strengthen your tribe. The old man of the Gillfish clan raised his head and wiped his tears. My king, the problem is that we can't eat them. They disappear after a while. The Sea King. At this moment, the Sea King was also a little confused. If it weren't for the fact that the Gillfish clan had pledged their loyalty to him and would select the 10 strongest warriors of the clan to join his Sea King navy every year, he wouldn't want to meddle in their business. After listening to the old man of the Gillfish clan nagging for a while, the Sea King, who still could not understand, waved his hand and interrupted him. Just tell me, what do you want to do? The elder of the Gillfish clan calmed down again and said, My king, can you send someone to protect us? If this goes on, our Gillfish clan will be finished. We haven't eaten for several days. They come in the morning, at night, and even in the middle of the night. We haven't gone out to hunt for food for several days. Thinking of the experience of the past few days, the elder of the Gillfish clan could not help but shed tears again. Looking at the pitiful old man of the Gillfish clan, the Sea King sighed and waved his hand behind him. Big Hammer, bring a group of people to protect the Gillfish clan for a while. Also, find out who the other party is. The humanoid tiger shark behind him, who was called Big Hammer, nodded and looked at the old man with disdain. Then, he turned around and walked out of the Crystal Palace to summon his subordinates. After that, Big Hammer followed the old man of the Gillfish clan back to Fallen Fish Island. This time, with Big Hammer, the Gillfish clan finally breathed a sigh of relief. They began to hunt and pick fruits as usual. Their days returned to normal. For the first time, they felt that being ordinary was so rare and precious. Meanwhile, Big Hammer and the other warriors were stationed in the sea area near Fallen Fish Island. The Gillfish clan was in charge of their food and drink, and they were quite satisfied with it. However, soon, they began to have a mental breakdown. During this period, as the old man of the Gillfish clan had said, the players attacked several times. During these visits, the players encountered the team of the Sea King Navy led by Big Hammer. None of them managed to escape from their pursuit. At first, Big Hammer was quite happy. However, after a long period of contact, Big Hammer's mentality was gradually on the verge of collapse. They did not give him any time to sleep at all. They came wave after wave in an irregular manner. This time, he finally understood what the Gillfish clan had encountered. They were simply a suicide legion. Moreover, when they came to die, they were all smiling and waving at you politely. What's the meaning of this? Is it because I, Big Hammer, am not ferocious enough to scare you? In the end, Big Hammer and the others were nauseous and could not take it anymore. However, this was not the end. As the post on the battle forum reached tens of thousands of people, the number of enthusiastic visits from the players skyrocketed. Finally, Big Hammer could not take it anymore. After asking his navy to continue to guard the island, he returned to the Crystal Palace to ask for reinforcements. Battle Forum. I found the Son of the Sea. There are many Sons of the Sea on this island. Post 33412. I'm not fat at all. It's already more than 30,000 people. I think it's time to tell the truth. Laughing emoji, crayon underscore Shinchan. The forces that have been cheated are already very large. We are fully capable of taking revenge. Why don't we confess? Beef noodles. Confess, confess. Everyone tell the truth. We have enough people. It's almost time for a wave of killing. Assaulted fish. I hate you bastards. Do you know what happened to me? I hate it. Gritting teeth. Cat slave little May. I'm gnashing my teeth. I'm finally going to tell the truth. I'm about to die. I want to kill you. Adorable little bye. That's it? I know I'm the last to be cheated. I feel wronged. I can't share this pain with others. It's so uncomfortable. As a large number of players were cheated, the number of people gradually increased. Fatty and Shung and the others finally decided to tell the truth. They were ready to organize the players who held grudges and go to Fallen Fish Island for the ultimate revenge. Chapter 86. After the truth was revealed, the forum was in an uproar. Many players who missed the opportunity because they did not have a ship were overjoyed. Meanwhile, the players who were cheated warmly greeted the OP's family. The original post was basically like this. The Gillfish clan is very hospitable. They even treated me to a meal when I went there. I love them so much. The hospitable Gillfish clan cooked a big pot of food to entertain us. I'm so happy, smile. I like this island. I picked up a lot of spiritual materials on it, and I almost got the Son of the Sea. I like Fallen Fish Island very much. The people there speak nicely. They are all talented and learn a lot of knowledge. Let's go and have fun. I promise you won't regret it. It's really nostalgic. This is definitely a treasure land. You'll regret it if you don't go. However, after the truth was revealed, the style of the comments changed. That's great. I can finally greet the OP and everyone's family. I'm so happy. Do you know that I've been cooked? You bunch of liars, I don't believe in love anymore. Yeah, I've already recorded down all the 1, 3, 2, 4, 1 great hoodwinks above me in my little notebook. I'm going to spend some time memorizing them. Let's wait and see after the revenge operation is over. I went there in high spirits that day, but when I found out the truth, I shed tears and gave everyone upstairs the middle finger. What a tacit understanding. Didn't they say that the Bakey army is a family? I treat you guys as my family, but you treat me as food for the Gillfish clan? I'm so mad. Gillfish clan, come to my bowl, stop talking. I want to eat 10 of you today. Laughing emoji. Gillfish clan, stop it. If you continue, I'll make you extinct. Laughing emoji. The truth was revealed. All the players who had been cheated remembered a guild. It was the Demonic God Guild, which was formed by a group of teenagers. All the players who had been cheated recorded this guild in their little notebook and were ready to launch a devastating attack after the revenge operation was over. Meanwhile, Shung and the others were quite happy at this time. They were delighted to see more and more players joining the revenge operation on the shore. This trick worked really well. Without spending a single cent, they managed to gather so many soldiers and horses. And Shung and Fatty felt that they were very smart. Soon, the number of people on the coast reached 20,000. Warships and private specter ships with different decorations were summoned, forming a huge naval fleet. Brothers, let's go. Today, I'm going to slaughter the entire village and exterminate the entire clan. The fatty waved the battle axe in his hand proudly. Battleships left the coast at this time and set off towards Fallen Fish Island. On the Fallen Fish Island, Big Hammer once again mobilized 1,000 warriors of the Sea King Navy and dozens of sea monsters. Faced with the endless stream of players harassing him, Sledgehammer was on the verge of collapsing. Hence, he decided to implement a shift system. Although he would still be tired, he wouldn't be overwhelmed. At the very least, he would have a buffer period. With more people, Big Hammer felt a lot more relaxed. After transferring 300 people, he planned to have a good sleep. But just as he fell asleep, he was woken up by a shake. When he opened his bloodshot eyes, Great Hammer was in a terrible mood. He slapped his subordinate, who woke him up to the ground. Damn you, don't you know I'm sleeping? Big brother, they're here again. The subordinate cried with a hint of despair on his face. Slap. Big Hammer swung his palm again and slapped the lackey who had just crawled to his feet to the ground. Didn't I send 300 warriors and 20 sea monsters? You want me to do it myself? Do you really want me to die? This time, there are so many of them. They're densely packed. We can't fight them with our numbers. Hearing this, Big Hammer's expression froze. He quickly got up, drilled out of the coral at the bottom of the sea, and swam to the surface. When Big Hammer's head emerged from the water, he immediately saw the players' fleet sailing in from afar. Seeing this, Big Hammer's eyes gradually glazed over. You really don't want me to sleep? If I increase the number of troops, will the Death Legion follow suit? How can you do this? You're bullying me, Big Hammer. I don't want to lose face. Big Hammer's heart was broken. At this moment, he hated the bastards of the Gillfish clan for dragging him into the water and making him endure the suffering that the Gillfish clan should bear. After a moment of silence, Big Hammer dived into the water and woke up all his subordinates. Soon, thousands of Sea King Navy troops led by Big Hammer appeared on the surface of the sea. There were also dozens of sea monsters that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws at the players from distance. Seeing Big Hammer and his men blocking their way, the players' warships approached them spontaneously and formed a steel barrier. They did not slow down at all. Damn it, destroy them all. Big Hammer roared and dived into the water. His shark fins emerged from the water and shot forward, forming a line on the surface of the water. Seeing this, the members of the Sea King Navy behind him also dived into the water and followed Big Hammer to rush toward the players. However, this time, the players were completely different from before. When Big Hammer and his men approached them, they realized that there were so many warships behind the fleet. The number of warships was far beyond their imagination. However, Big Hammer did not think that the Sea King Navy led by him would lose. So, he took the lead and rushed forward. An oncoming black warship collided with him. The bottom of the ship was hit by a huge force, and seawater poured into it. However, the large hammer did not stop and continued to shoot forward, knocking down a few more warships in succession. Seeing that these warships were as vulnerable as he expected, Big Hammer showed a look of contempt. He then locked onto his next target and crashed into a blue warship. Unfortunately, his target this time was Chun Ziyu's Great Dragon warship, which was here to help the guild members. Chun Ziyu smiled when he saw Big Hammer's menacing approach. His guild warship's upgrade materials were all piled up on its hardness. Who would be afraid of a hard opponent? Great Dragon, Overlord form. Following Chun Ziyu's order, a deep dragon roar came from inside the ship. The surface of the ship flashed with a golden light, as if it was plated with a layer of metal diaphragm. Bang! At this time, Big Hammer had also approached and slammed into the warship's ram. The Great Dragon warship in its Overlord form shook violently. The golden light of the Overlord form dimmed a lot, but was not damaged at all. Big Hammer, who was below the warship, covered the bump on his head and curled his body into a ball. At this moment, he felt a pain in his head. It was really painful. How could it be so hard? It did not match the warship in front of him. Big Hammer grimaced in pain under the water. At this time, Chun Ziyu began to fight back. He reached out and patted the wheel. Great Dragon, kill him. Virum, roar. Along with the roar, two dragon claws covered in scales extended from the bottom of the Great Dragon warship and grabbed at Big Hammer. Chapter 87. At this stage, there were only a handful of guilds that could cultivate warships with special abilities. It was not a problem for them to deal with small sea monsters, but it was still not enough to deal with the commander of the Sea King Navy like Big Hammer. However, Big Hammer chose the wrong opponent this time. He crashed into the Great Dragon warship that was cultivated by all the members of the Great Dragon Guild twice, causing him to grimace in pain. This time, he did not plan to fight the Great Dragon warship head-on. He swam forward and changed his target to continue his destruction. However, Chun Ziyu would not let him go just like that. Two dragon hands reached out from the bottom of the ship and grabbed him. Just as Big Hammer was about to struggle, the bodies of the 5 sorcerers on the Great Dragon warship began to change. Water turrets were formed one after another. In the sea, the ability of water was greatly enhanced. 5 huge water dragons shot out from the cannons and blasted toward Big Hammer. Boom! A huge wave was set off. This blow made Big Hammer dizzy. He felt like his body was being torn apart, and blue blood flowed out from his wounds. This scared Big Hammer. Obviously, the power of the Great Dragon Guild was stronger than all the players that he had seen before. He could feel the fear of death. However, the power of the Great Dragon Guild was not fully displayed. At this time, two figures leaped down from the Great Dragon Warship. At the same time, they were shrouded in the shadow of the Night Killer. The signature skill of assassins, Shadow Step, was activated. The two figures turned into shadows and quickly approached Big Hammer. Two blood blades stabbed at him at the same time. Big Hammer, who had lost his ability to fight, was furious. He could only watch as the blood blades penetrated his body and dismembered it into several pieces. After withdrawing the shadow of the Night Killer, the two assassins lightly jumped onto the warship. Shueli said, "Boss, mission accomplished." Wang Damon said, "So weak." Chen Ziyu also laughed. "Let's continue. Help the other players and destroy the Sea King Navy first." They nodded and looked at the other battlefields. At this time, many warships had been destroyed. However, this was normal for the players who often went to the sea. After all, most of the players' warships had not been upgraded, so their initial hardness was not high. However, if they encountered sea monsters, their warships would simply crash into them. It didn't matter even if their ships were destroyed. Their warships could repair themselves anyway, so they weren't afraid of being damaged. If the warship was seriously damaged and sank into the sea, they would take out their weapons and start a water battle with the warriors of the Sea King Navy. Very soon, the sea monsters were completely annihilated by the players. This time, the players turned their attention to the warriors of the Sea King Navy. Relying on their superior numbers and skills, the players quickly slaughtered the warriors of the Sea King Navy. The battle lasted for about an hour. More than half of the Sea King Navy squad was annihilated, and the remaining warriors of the Sea King Navy chose to flee. The sea was dyed dark blue by their blood. In this small-scale group battle, the players achieved a complete victory. Water Crystal Palace, within the Great Hall of the Iron Hammer Army. Hammer is dead. Looking at the extinguished soul-linking pearl, Iron Hammer's eyes widened. He only had one son. Big Hammer's death filled Iron Hammer's heart with rage, and he could not help but roar. "Commander, I'm sorry for your loss." A humanoid creature draped in a tortoise shell quickly came forward to console him. "My condolences?" "Condolences my ass. Have you ever lost a son? Do you know how I feel now?" The tortoise man fell into silence. He really did not know how to answer this question. "Motherfucker, someone come and kill Gue Lu's son." Iron Hammer, who had nowhere to vent his anger, looked at the tortoise man in front of him and couldn't help but yell angrily. By the way, after his death, he will be conferred the title of Young Commander of the Iron Hammer Army's Flag Division, Iron Hammer added. Upon hearing this, Gue Lu's eyes became dull. He did not expect that his words of consolation would cause his son to be killed. "Phew, I feel much better now. How does it feel to lose your son?" Iron Hammer looked at Gue Lu, who had already shut himself in, and asked. Gue Lu was speechless. After Iron Hammer's order was announced, Gue Lu brought Tiger Shark, who was here to carry out the death sentence, to his home. Seeing his father return, Gue Lu's son welcomed him happily. "Dad, you're back. Did you bring anything fun today?" Gue Lu looked at his son and could not help but shed tears. "My son, I bring good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first?" Gue Lu's son was stunned. "What's the good news?" "You have been conferred the title of Young Commander of the Iron Hammer Army's Flag Division." Upon hearing this, Gue Lu's son was ecstatic. "What's the bad news?" "Then you must be mentally prepared." Gue Lu looked at his son and shed tears of regret. At this time, a larger battle broke out on Fallen Fish Island. A fierce battle between 20,000 players and the Gillfish clan was taking place. However, this time, the players were outnumbered and the Gillfish clan was having a hard time resisting. As the clansmen fell one by one, the old man of the Gillfish clan stood in the middle of the village, trembling and murmuring. He did not know if his clan was cursed by the sea god. How could they be targeted by such a terrifying clan? The massacre was still going on. The ground was littered with the corpses of the Gillfish clan members. The players who had fallen had turned into black mist and were sent back to the void. This made the Gillfish clan members feel great pressure. They had the illusion that the number of their clansmen was decreasing while the number of their opponents was not decreasing at all. The horn sounded continuously in the fishing village. More and more Gillfish clansmen came to help. However, the Gillfish clan was still much weaker than the enemy in terms of numbers and strength. Gradually, the Gillfish clan was forced to retreat into the fishing village. Kill your way in and bring out their cauldrons. Don't they like to cook? Throw them into the cauldrons today. Steam, fry, boil, and stir-fry them all. Fatty, who had a grudge in his heart, shouted excitedly. Achi was stunned when he heard this. They are all in human form. Can you really eat them? The fat man rolled his eyes. I just want them to experience the despair that we have experienced before. Upon hearing this, the fear of being dominated by the Gillfish clan surfaced in the hearts of everyone present. Their eyes were filled with lingering fear. Finally, they could take revenge. This time, it was their turn to take charge. Chapter 88. Fallen Fish Island. Smoke was rising from the chimneys in the fishing village, and water was boiling in a big pot. The players were busy carrying wood and starting a fire. Where's the seasoning? Why is there no seasoning? The fat man shouted in dissatisfaction as he could not find any seasoning. The rest of the Gillfish clan, who were tied up, were in despair. Seasoning? Motherf asterisk cur. Don't you know why there's no seasoning? Don't you have any king idea? However, the players did not intend to eat them. They just wanted to take revenge on the Gillfish clan for mistreating them. The massacre of the village was a success. While the players killed all the Gillfish clan members, they also took away a batch of fresh fruits. Finally, they set the entire village on fire and burned it down. Just as the players were about to leave the shore, they saw a wave in the distance. On the wave, many sea monsters emerged. Brothers, get ready for battle. Chun Ziyu shouted at the players behind him. The scale of the Sea King Navy was obviously much larger this time. The players did not dare to let their guard down. They quickly boarded the warship and drove it forward. In the distance, Big Hammer was furious as he looked at the players' warships. Needless to say, it was these creatures that killed his Big Hammer. In order to avenge his son, Big Hammer had brought his entire Iron Hammer subflag army. He wanted to see who in the void ocean dared to provoke the Sea King Navy. Tear them apart. Big Hammer roared. Then, he patted the sea monster under him and sped up toward the players. The warriors behind him roared in unison when they heard the order and sped up. Facing the attack of the Sea King Navy, the players were not afraid. One by one, they drove their warships toward the navy led by Iron Hammer. In fact, the players had a hunch that a war would break out between the army of Beiki and the Sea King Navy sooner or later. They often talked about the Sea King Navy in the forum. Therefore, the players were not afraid at all, even though they were unprepared for the battle. However, the players did not have the advantage of numbers when they encountered the Sea King Navy led by Iron Hammer. The moment they clashed, several warships were immediately destroyed. Countless sea monsters entangled the warship and began to climb. Many warriors of the Sea King Navy leaped onto the deck of the warship along with the sea monsters and engaged in a fierce battle with the players. Compared to the battle on the deck, the players still had the upper hand. The players who fell into the water due to the destruction of the warships were having a hard time resisting. After all, when it came to swimming, the warriors of the Sea King Navy were many times better than the players. They were at a complete disadvantage underwater. Seeing this scene, Chun Ziyu felt a slight headache. Clearly, he had provoked someone powerful this time. Hammer was the most ferocious in battle. His individual strength was unparalleled. In order to reduce the pressure on his comrades, Chun Ziyu decisively drove the Great Dragon warship to collide with Hammer. This time, the Great Dragon warship in its super body state collided with the Iron Hammer unexpectedly, causing the Iron Hammer to tumble several times in the water. Motherf asterisk cur, you dare to compete with me in toughness? After stabilizing himself, Iron Hammer's eyes widened. He slowly arched his body and slammed into the Great Dragon warship. Bang! Big Hammer took a step back, and the golden light of the tyrant body outside the Great Dragon warship dimmed a little. The bow of the warship tilted up and slid back for some distance. Again, Iron Hammer's unyielding temper was ignited. He charged his body again and slammed into the great dragon warship. Bang! 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 The continuous collisions made Chun Ziyu and the others feel like they were on a swing being repelled. At this moment, they were dumbfounded. They did not understand why Iron Hammer did not hit the other vulnerable parts of the warship. Instead, he focused on the great dragon warship. Iron Hammer was not having a good time either. The continuous collisions made his head buzz. However, his unyielding temper made him brace himself and slammed into the great dragon warship again. Bang! 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 The members of the Great Dragon Guild bounced up and down with each collision. This idiot is the commander of the Sea King Navy's subflag army. Wang Damong looked at Iron Hammer's panel and was speechless. Tisk, TSK, TSK. Doesn't he feel pain? I feel pain just by looking at him. Chun Ziyu shook his head. As long as he's happy, Shueli said faintly. The members of the Great Dragon Guild were speechless. After dozens of collisions, Iron Hammer grimaced in pain and his head buzzed. Damn you! Break! The bad-tempered Iron Hammer gathered all his strength and slammed into the great dragon warship again. Kacha! This time, the golden light of the great dragon warship was directly smashed. At the same time, the ram at the bow of the warship was also smashed by the huge force. The entire warship suddenly lost its defense. Seeing this, Chun Ziyu's expression froze. He quickly shouted, "Get into the water and kill him." Upon hearing this, all the members of the guild picked up their weapons and jumped into the water. The ruby on Chun Ziyu's body began to shine. His leaping body suddenly sank and smashed into Iron Hammer. Duong, his fist smashed into the water and collided with Iron Hammer's head. A rebounding force came from Iron Hammer's head, and he was sent flying by the force. Bloody words appeared on his body. This shocked Chun Ziyu. No wonder this monster kept colliding with the warship. It turned out that his head was so hard. Meanwhile, Iron Hammer was dizzy. The previous collisions had already made him extremely uncomfortable. Chun Ziyu's sudden attack had made him feel like his head was a paste. He could not tell which direction was which. However, facing the attack of Wang Damong and the others, Iron Hammer subconsciously waved his arms. Iron Hammer's strength was already very strong. Wang Damong and the others were sent flying as soon as they got close to him. Their strengths were not equal at all. Just when Chun Ziyu led his men to attack again, the Sea King Navy warriors who saw Iron Hammer being besieged from afar immediately came to help. Seeing this, Chun Ziyu realized that something was wrong. He quickly shouted in the regional channel, "Retreat! Every warship that can escape counts. Hurry!" Although the warship could repair itself, it was extremely slow. If they wanted to repair it quickly, they would have to use wood. Therefore, Chun Ziyu decisively asked the players to retreat. At the same time, he stored the slightly damaged Great Dragon warship into the channel. Chun Ziyu had a lot of prestige among the players. The players on the undamaged warships heard his order and quickly drove their warships away. Faced with the army of Iron Hammer, the players who fell into the water launched their last desperate struggle. However, the situation was already bad. Their last resistance was only a last-ditch struggle. In the end, the players were surrounded and killed by the army. "Boss, some of the warships are escaping," a warrior of Iron Hammer's army said to Iron Hammer while pointing at the players who were escaping. Iron Hammer shook his head vigorously, not listening to his subordinates' words at all. Right now, he only felt that the world was spinning, and he was completely out of it. Chapter 89. In the battle with Iron Hammer's army, the players had lost hundreds of guild-level warships and hundreds of individual Spectre warships. This naval battle was the first time the players witnessed the power of the Sea King Navy. They also realized that they still had a long way to go before they could face the Sea King Navy head-on. However, due to this naval battle, the price of spiritual materials in the auction house skyrocketed again. Many people could not afford spiritual materials at all. At this moment, a post caught everyone's attention. "Do you want spiritual materials? Come to the North Rocks and chop down trees." The tree demons here are spiritual materials. 2 videos were added to the post. The first video showed a few players fighting with a tree demon. With great teamwork, they managed to chop down the tree demon. However, the dead tree demon left behind a branch that shone with a dark green light. A screenshot of the item's attributes was attached at the bottom of the video. Tree demon wood, level 2 spiritual material, the essence of the tree demon's body. It has many uses such as healing and alchemy. In the second video, the players summoned a private specter ship and handed the tree demon wood to the specter ship. The specter ship slowly absorbed the tree demon wood. Chewing sounds could be heard from a ship. The experience bar on the specter ship's interface began to slide forward. At the end of the video, the player who posted the thread posted a message. Don't you all lack spiritual materials? There are so many tree demons in the North Rocks. A lot of spiritual materials are waiting for you. Young lads want to raise a ship. What are you waiting for? Pick up your axes and chop down trees. This technical post caused a sensation among the players. The bottom of the post was full of players' praises for the original poster. This time, before the naval battle began, the players set their sights on the North Rocks. A large number of players visited in groups to chop down trees and raise ships. On this day, Lu Wu, who was feeding Bei Li, suddenly received a call. Usually, other than messages urging for payment, Lu Wu's phone would not receive any calls. He was surprised to receive a call at this time. He took out his phone from his pocket. The screen showed a woman's face with the words and man. Looking at this name, Lu Wu's mind was filled with the face of a lively girl who loved to laugh and play. And Man's family and Lu Wu's family used to be neighbors. The relationship between the two families was very harmonious, and they often visited each other. Therefore, Lu Wu and Man had been good friends since they were young. However, Man's family had a better future. When Lu Wu was in primary school, his family moved away from Sangarama City. Coincidentally, they studied at the same university. During an offline game, they discovered that they were childhood sweethearts. Lu Wu and Man's personalities were polar opposites, but they got along very well. And Man was also one of Lu Wu's few friends. Hey, Dog Dad, are you asleep? If not, come out and have fun. A clear and pleasant female voice came from the other end of the phone. What are you talking about? It's so late at night, Lu Wu snapped. Bro, it's not easy for Sister Man to come to Indigo House, and I called you as soon as I got off the plane. I'm telling you, you're going to get beaten up for your attitude. And Man deliberately lowered her voice and showed a threatening look. Where are you? I'll pick you up. Lu Wu looked at his watch helplessly, but he still nodded and agreed. Lu Wu did not have many friends, but he cherished every single one of them. After knowing that a Man had come to Indigo House, he planned to have a gathering with her. I'm in front of the cinema next to Indigo Airport. Come quickly, I'm still hungry. I'm waiting for you to treat me to a feast. A Man laughed on the other end of the phone. It'll take me more than 2 hours to get here. Why don't you find something to do first? Sure, I'll wait for you. After hanging up, Lu Wu looked at Bei Li, who was staring at him. He felt an inexplicable murderous intent. I want to go too. Bei Li stared at Lu Wu. I'm going to pick up a friend. Not to have fun. Lu Wu explained. I'll protect you. I don't want you to be in danger. Hearing this, Lu Wu was expressionless. He knew about Bei Li's combat power. Other than researching and eating, she was completely useless. It was hard to say who would protect whom. Stay here and wait for me to come back. Looking at the angry Bei Li, Lu Wu comforted her before leaving the house. Since he did not have a means of transportation, Lu Wu could only hail a taxi by the roadside. After getting into the car, the driver was very quiet. The old song Long Time No See was playing in the car. It made Lu Wu sigh and reminded him of many things in the past. Actually, there was a reason why Man had always called Lu Wu a dog. Both of them went to kindergarten together when they were young, and there was one incident that left a deep impression on a Man. This incident was the biggest stain on Lu Wu's life. When they were in kindergarten, the teacher told everyone that boys and girls were not allowed to kiss each other when they were playing. Kissing could lead to pregnancy. At that time, Lu Wu was deeply convinced. However, one day, when Lu Wu was playing with the pregnant female dog in the kindergarten yard, he accidentally kissed her on the mouth. As a result, The female dog gave birth to a puppy the next day. At that time, Lu Wu swore to the female dog and the paparazzi under the witness of his neighbor and man, as long as I, Lu Wu, am alive, I will never starve you and your daughter. I, Lu Wu, am a man of my words. Such a solemn vow became the biggest joke of Lu Wu in front of a man after he became sensible. It was also an embarrassing incident that he did not want to recall. After a 2-hour journey, Lu Wu arrived in front of the cinema in Sangarama Airport. He then called the man. Man, I'm here. Where are you? Don't rush, dog daddy. Wait for another 10 minutes. I'm watching a good movie. And man said heartlessly. Lu Wu could even hear the fighting sounds in the movie through the phone. Lu Wu was furious when he thought about how he had spent 2 hours in a taxi from afar and in man was watching a movie. However, he had no choice. It was rare for a man to come to Sangarama Airport. He had to remember this in his notebook. About 15 minutes later, the movie ended and people started to flow out of the cinema. A tall woman with a charming smile and a bucket of popcorn in her left hand waved at Lu Wu from the crowd. Seeing the familiar face, Lu Wu grinned and walked up to him. Dog daddy, long time no see. You don't seem to have changed much. And man looked at Lu Wu and said with a smile, You are getting more and more beautiful. Unfortunately, your personality hasn't changed at all. Lu Wu laughed too. The familiar feeling filled both of them, and the estrangement caused by the years of not seeing each other gradually faded away. After knowing that a man had not had her dinner, Lu Wu began to look for a nearby place to eat. However, it was already 3 o'clock in the morning. Apart from a cinema, all the shops around were closed. Feeling helpless, the two of them could only walk while looking for a place to eat. Whenever they talked about interesting things in the past, the two of them would laugh heartily. They enjoyed the feeling very much. Oh yeah, what movie were you watching just now? And man stuffed a handful of popcorn into her mouth and said while chewing, Avengers X. It was released not long ago. It's quite popular, but I don't really understand it. Maybe you haven't watched the other Marvel series, so you don't understand it, Lu Wu laughed. Maybe, but I have a question. If the villains are so powerful, why don't Superman and Batman come out and fight with the Avengers? Lu Wu froze instantly. He glanced at a man and saw that she looked serious. He had no choice but to explain, they are not from the same company. They are not from the same company. One is Marvel, the other is DC. There's a subsidiary company to save the Earth? Can't they do it together? A man was also very surprised. Lu Wu suddenly felt very tired. He was talking about reality, but a man obviously thought that he was talking about the forces in the movie. However, Lu Wu still explained the relationship between Marvel and DC in detail, and man finally understood. Just like that, the two of them joked and laughed along the way. In the end, the two of them gave up on the idea of eating when they couldn't even find a roadside stall. Originally, Lu Wu wanted to bring in man back to his place since there were still empty rooms. However, a man said that she had an important schedule tomorrow, so Lu Wu could only give up regretfully. After sending a man back to the hotel that she had booked, the tired Lu Wu also set off home. Chapter 90. The next day, in the conference room of Company 173's headquarters. You want to work with Battle Online to broadcast a game? Wu Gui looked at a man who was sitting opposite him and asked, Yes, Boss Wu. You're the only one who can contact Battle Online now, so I'd like to talk to Battle Online through you about the broadcasting authorization for future competitions, and man said seriously as she looked at Wu Gui. Her main purpose in coming to Indigo City was to obtain the broadcasting rights of Battle Online's games. Recently, a few videos had gone viral on many video portals. These videos were battle videos recorded by the players in Battle Online. The most famous one was the Christmas battle. This video was accompanied by background music that made people's blood boil. Countless players fought with their lives on the line and charged forward fearlessly. Even through the screen, one could feel the anger and determination in the hearts of the players. The number of views on this battle exceeded 1 million on many websites, which attracted a large number of players to join Battle Online. It was also because of her research on the videos in Battle Online that Man-Man's Shark Tournament live streaming platform wanted to seize this opportunity in advance to obtain the broadcasting and commentary rights of the tournament. Although Battle Online had yet to be updated with popular tournaments such as Arenas and Guild Wars. However, she had a hunch that it would be too late to talk about it when the game was released. Currently, Battle Online had an unprecedentedly high rating in the gaming circle. That was why Man-Man's father asked a Man-Man to come to Indigo City to seek Wu Guoyi's help to discuss a collaboration with Battle Online. Looking at a Man-Man, Wu Guoyi was silent for a moment. Your father and I are considered old friends, so I'll be frank with you. And Man-Man listened and nodded her head. Although Battle Online hasn't launched a competition yet, I can tell you for sure that if this game launches a competition, it will definitely not be any weaker than the most popular games like Atlantis. In fact, it might even be more influential. If you want to win the live streaming and commentary rights of the competition, you'll have to pay a hefty price. Wu Guoyi had discussed the collaboration with Lu Wu several times, so he was very clear about Lu Wu's attitude. Lu Wu gave him the impression that he did not care about profits at all, but was really focused on managing the game. This was something that Wu Guoyi admired greatly. He was also a member of the game, so he clearly knew how terrifying the profits would be if the game opened up a top-up channel. Wu Guoyi believed that if it were him, he would definitely not be able to resist this temptation. However, since the development of the game, there was no sign of topping up soul coins. Wu Guoyi could only say that he could not understand Lu Wu at all. He had no idea what Lu Wu was thinking. Therefore, he wasn't optimistic about a Man-Man's cooperation negotiation at all. Regarding Wu Guoyi's so-called sacrifice, and Man-Man was silent for a while before she spoke. Boss Wu, I would like to discuss this with the person in charge of Battle Online in person. Wu Guoyi nodded. In that case, I can help you contact him. As for whether he is willing to come and talk to you, I can't guarantee. A Man-Man smiled. Thank you for taking care of me, Uncle Wu. Lu Wu sighed as he looked at Bei Li, who was lying on the bed eating snacks and glancing at him from time to time. Xiao Li, you can eat, but why are you looking at me like that? Bei Li lifted her upper body and continued chewing. Spring is coming. I want to see what happens to animals when they are in heat. Lu Wu was speechless. She's my friend. We haven't talked for years, Lu Wu sighed. To be honest, he and a Man-Man did not have any intention of dating. They were a legitimate couple. Suddenly, Lu Wu's phone rang. He picked up the phone and heard Wu Guoyi's voice. Brother Lu, are you free? I want to treat you to a meal. Lu Wu glanced at Bei Li, who was listening attentively. He felt helpless. Brother Wu, I'm a little busy these days. I'll treat you to a meal when I'm free. Upon hearing this, Wu Guoyi went straight to the point. Brother Lu, have you thought about the competition? Lu Wu was stunned. The live streaming of the competition was actually what he was thinking about. Apart from the guild tournament that was already planned, there was also the individual arena that was being prepared, as well as the stairway ranking. These were the competitive events that Lu Wu was planning to add in the development of the game. Lu Wu attached great importance to the competition. In the development of the game, the competitive events could be said to play a crucial role in publicity. They could also increase the popularity of the game itself. This could be reflected in the earliest games, such as LOL. Every competition would attract a large number of players to cheer for their favorite team. Unfortunately, the formal competition required a venue, commentary, opening ceremony, and many other complicated procedures. Although the official platform had live streaming, it was still far from being ready for the competition. However, Lu Wu was surprised that Wu Guoyi would ask about this. Platform 173 did not have live streaming of the competition. What do you mean, Brother Wu? Lu Wu asked curiously. Do you know about the Shark competition streaming platform? Of course I do. It's one of the 3 major live streaming platforms in the country. I used to watch the commentary of domestic and international competitions on that platform. Upon hearing Wu Guoyi mention the Shark competition streaming platform, Lu Wu had a vague guess in his mind. They want to talk to you about the competition authorization for Battle Online. As for whether you agree to it or not, it's entirely up to you. I'm just asking on their behalf, Wu Guoyi answered. Lu Wu was a little tempted. After all, the guild tournament that he had built was already in its first season. Moreover, The other party was one of the 3 major live streaming platforms in the country. They had a lot of traffic and could definitely help promote the game. Moreover, they had a lot of experience in hosting competitions, which was exactly what he needed. Brother Wu, we can talk about it. Lu Wu answered simply after thinking for a while. Wu Gui was stunned by Lu Wu's attitude. It was somewhat different from what he had expected. After all, Lu Wu's attitude had always been very relaxed. It was as if he did not care about money other than the development of the game. Why did he suddenly change? Let's have lunch then. I'll contact her later. I'll book a table at the Palace Hotel. You can come directly. Lu Wu agreed without hesitation. After hanging up the phone, he suddenly saw Bei Li staring at him expressionlessly. Staring. I want to go too. Chapter 91. In the private room of the Palace Hotel, Lu Wu and Man Man stared at each other. Dog Dad, are you the person in charge of Battle Online? Lu Wu smiled awkwardly. He did not expect Man Man to be the one who wanted to date him. So it's done. Lu Wu nodded. Since it's you, it's done. Are you not going to negotiate? Uncle is very nice to me, and you are my friend. Besides, working with you can help promote the game. So, there's no need for any conditions. However, you will be responsible for all the expenses and venue arrangements for each competition. Lu Wu's idea was simple. He already had a higher goal. Money was not that important to him anymore. It was not even as important as soul coins. It was fine as long as he had enough. A man smiled. No problem. Wu Guoyi's eyes widened. They had only sat down for less than 5 minutes, and they had already finished negotiating. There's something fishy going on, Bailey mumbled as she glanced back and forth between a Man and Lu Wu. The atmosphere turned awkward when she heard that. She's just a kid. Don't mind her, Lu Wu said to a Man awkwardly. Since when did you have a kid? A Man shivered as she looked at Bailey. She felt a murderous aura. This is not my kid. Her name is Bailey. She's my friend. Lu Wu forced himself to explain as he looked at a Man's suspicious gaze. Wu Guai's gaze changed when he heard Lu Wu's explanation. He clearly remembered that Lu Wu had mentioned that Bei Li was his sister. How did they become friends? There was something strange about this. Why are you guys looking at me like that? Lu Wu felt that Man and Wu Guai had misunderstood something when they looked at him with distrust. Little girl, where are your parents? And Man bent down and asked softly as she looked at the adorable Bailey. Parents? Gone. Bailey answered calmly. A Man was speechless. And Man, who thought that Bailey was an orphan, was overwhelmed with sympathy. She couldn't help but want to hug Bailey, but Bailey dodged her nimbly. Fair competition, no sneak attacks. Bailey raised her fist and got into a fighting stance. Lu Wu pulled Bailey to his side. Looking at the angry Bailey, he felt a headache coming on. Calm down. What fair competition? Don't talk nonsense. Faced with a Man and Wu Guai's doubtful faces, Lu Wu had no choice but to use an excuse that he had prepared beforehand. He said that he had met the pitiful Bei Li somewhere and had adopted her out of sympathy. Fortunately, the two of them did not pursue the matter further. A Man knew Lu Wu's character very well. She knew that he would not do something so stupid that he would spend 3 years in jail. While they were eating, a Man took the initiative to talk to Lu Fan about future competitions. Lu Wu had nothing to hide, so he took the initiative to tell him about the guild war that he had prepared. When a Man heard this, he said that he would take care of the commentary for the competition and the opening of the game at the same time as the live stream. It was also a form of gratitude for Lu Wu's unconditional authorization. However, Wu Guai was the one who could not stay calm after hearing this news. He was also the leader of a guild in the game. How could he not be excited when he heard this insider news? Although he did not say it out loud, he was already planning the next development of the guild in his heart. He was ready to amaze the world in this guild war. After the meal, everyone became more relaxed, especially Lu Wu and Man. They were good friends, so they often talked about the past while they were eating. Bailey, on the other hand, kept her head down and ate. She even looked up at the two who were chatting happily from time to time. Then, she turned her grief and anger into appetite and started a massacre at the dining table. Void Ocean, Insect Island. In a bush, The 10-man team of the Demolition Guild was quietly lurking there, observing the situation outside through the gaps of the branches and leaves. Dozens of meters away from the bush, there was a strange land that covered an area of 100 square meters. It was shining with emerald green light. Many beast-like creatures were patrolling around the spiritual field, guarding it. Among the many spiritual materials planted in the spiritual field, the most eye-catching one was the strangely shaped fruit in the middle of the spiritual field. Son of the Sea, a mysterious fruit blessed by the sea. It is a priceless, epic-level treasure. After consuming it, one will receive the blessing of the underworld sea god and obtain a random talent-level ability. Looking at this epic-level treasure, the eyes of the few people hiding in the bush were filled with envy. This was the third time they had landed on Insect Island. The previous few confrontations ended in failure. However, they were unwilling to share this secret with others. This time, only 10 of them came. They sneaked here to see if there was a chance for them to steal the Son of the Sea. After waiting for 5 hours, they could also see that there would be a shift of beastmen guarding this spiritual field every 2 hours. There was a 2-minute gap, so they were prepared to quickly move out when the shift of the guard was over. After waiting for a while, the patrolling orcs began to head east. At this moment, Lu Chai and the other 10 people jumped out of the bush and ran towards the Son of the Sea. Just as they expected, no orcs appeared to stop them in the past 2 minutes. They easily picked the Son of the Sea and at the same time searched around the spiritual field. Server announcement. Congratulations to player Lu Chai for obtaining epic-level treasure. Son of the Sea. Seeing the announcement, Lu Chai was overjoyed. Woof woof. At this moment, a puppy came out of nowhere and hopped to Lu Chai's side. It even rubbed its head against Lu Chai's trousers. Go away. Lu Chai kicked the puppy away. He hated dogs the most. The husky at home cost him a lot of money to renovate. If it was not for his wife's love for it, he would have stewed the dog long ago. There was another dog that he hated the most. It was Sun Chi from the Myth Guild. The two guilds had a few conflicts over resources. Sun Chi, the dog that could heal groups, gave him a headache. He lost several guild wars because of this damn dog. Therefore, in Lu Chai's opinion, dogs were not good. However, this kick caused trouble. The puppy began to whine after falling to the ground. The orcs who were changing shifts heard it and rushed towards the spiritual field. Run! Lu Chai stuffed the Son of the Sea into the channel and shouted. He had experienced the strength of these orcs. They were definitely no match for them. However, when Lu Chai turned around, he suddenly saw the attributes panel of the puppy not far away. Gooden, the son of the owner of Insect Island, Xiao Tian, in its infancy seeing the introduction of the puppy, Lu Chai's eyes widened. He grabbed the puppy in his hand while running. The orcs guarding the spiritual field were extremely strong warriors. Lu Chai and the others caught up with them within a few steps. A few guild members who ran slower were immediately smashed to the ground. Seeing that there was no way to escape, Lu Chai turned around and lifted Gooden. At the same time, he strangled its neck. Don't come over. Chapter 92. Don't come any closer, or I'll kill the dog. Lu Chai raised Godan and threatened the orcs who were approaching him. This trick was indeed effective. When the orcs saw Godan in Lu Chai's hand, their expressions changed, and they looked very surprised. Hand over the Son of the Sea and let go of the young master, and I'll let you go, the leader of the orcs said with a ferocious face. In your dreams, Lu Chai answered decisively. You should know that your companions are still in our hands. The orc gestured to the back. The orcs behind him quickly pulled Lu Chai's companions up from the ground and put their hands on their necks. Both sides were in a stalemate. How dare you threaten me? Lu Chai glared at them and glanced at Godan in his hand. Then, he noticed Godan's little earthworm and pinched it. Ow, ow. Godan let out a heart-wrenching howl. The orcs could not help but tremble when they saw it. Don't touch the young master. What do you want? Let them go. We'll trade. Hand over the young master and the Son of the Sea. The leader of the orcs growled. F***CKU, I'll break it now. Lu Chai threatened again as he stared at Godan, who was rolling his eyes in his hand. Looking at Godan, the leader of the orcs seemed to be struggling. The young master and the Son of the Sea were very important to him. So he was in a dilemma. After a moment of confrontation, the leader of the orcs looked ruthless and said, "I'll give you one more chance. I'll give you another chance. Let's exchange. Boss Shao Tian doesn't only have one child, but you and your companion only have one life. You have to think about it carefully." The 9 people who were restrained had a strange look on their faces when they heard this. To them, how could their lives be more valuable than the Son of the Sea? It was crazy to threaten their boss with their lives. F***, how dare you threaten me? I'm not afraid of threats. Come on, I'll count to 3 and we'll do it together. Lu Chai glared at them and said. The orcs were nervous when they heard this, but they did not listen to Lu Chai's warning. From their point of view, Lu Chai and his companions were here for the Son of the Sea. If he killed the young master now, he would not be able to escape from this island, and he would not be able to bring the Son of the Sea out. After all, they did not know about the existence of the artifact space, and thought that the Son of the Sea was still with Lu Chai. 1. Lu Chai began to count. Although the orcs were nervous, they did not think that Lu Chai would really dare to kill their young master, so they remained unmoved. 3. Kacha. Lu Chai pinched Gooden's neck with his hand. Gooden's body naturally drooped down and became motionless. Lu Chai's sudden jump from 1 to 3 caught the few orcs off guard. They did not expect Lu Chai to actually make a move. Lu Chai threw the limp Gooden to the side and gestured for them to start. Brothers, what are you waiting for? It's your turn. The orc was dumbfounded. How could he be so willful when it was a matter of life and death? When his subordinates saw this, they quietly lowered their pain threshold and turned their heads around to look at the orc, who was still dumbfounded. Brother, it's fast. Thank you. The orcs were speechless. After being stunned for a moment, the few orcs were completely furious. They stretched out their hands and killed the 9 people on the spot. Then, they looked at Lu Chai. When Lu Chai saw this, he also lowered his pain threshold and smiled. Do whatever you want. If you scream in pain, I lose. At this moment, Lu Chai was very happy. He had already obtained the Son of the Sea, and he was already fantasizing about the beautiful future after the resurrection. 3 hours later, in the Mansion of the Dead, the resurrected people went online. Lu Chai excitedly took out the Son of the Sea and ate it in front of the envious eyes of his subordinates. Congratulations to player Lu Chai for obtaining the first talent ability, Sea Spirit's Body. At the same time as the announcement in the server, the data of the talent ability was displayed in front of Lu Chai. Sea Spirit's Body, talent ability. Ability details. With the blessing of the Sea God, you have obtained the passive ability, Sea Spirit's Body. You have obtained the special ability, Sea of War. You have obtained the unlearned ability, Tidal Sacrifice. Sea Spirit's Body, passive recovers 1% of the maximum HP every 2 seconds. This ability can be upgraded as the level increases. Sea of War, inherent special ability. When this ability is activated, all members of the camp will gain a 5% increase in movement speed and receive 2 healing effects every second. Lasts for 10 minutes and covers a diameter of 100 meters. Tidal Sacrifice, God's Body Unawakened. Note, the talent ability will evolve as the player grows. Continue to devour the Son of the Sea to accelerate its growth. Looking at the introduction of the talent ability on the attribute panel, Lu Chai was ecstatic. He did not expect this ability to be so powerful. He was a rune master, so he already had plenty of HP. Coupled with the Sea Spirit's Body, he could be said to be a human tank. What made him even more excited was that this talent actually came with a war halo. Although this ability was not as powerful as Sun Chi's, the most important thing was that this ability could grow. After obtaining this talent ability, Lu Chai could already imagine how much the strength of his guild would increase. He could not help but laugh out loud. Boss, look at this. A few members of the Demolition Guild took out a few spiritual materials from the channel while feeling envious. Derived Rice, Level 5. A special spiritual material cultivated under the nourishment of the spiritual field and the aura of the Son of the Sea. Due to this special spiritual material, it can't be used in spectership or alchemy. Note, it is strongly recommended to sell it in the shop. The price is 500 soul coins per stock. Looking at the introduction of this spiritual material, Lu Chai's eyes widened. He originally thought that the Son of the Sea was the best thing in the spiritual field, so he did not pay attention to the other spiritual materials. He did not expect such a good thing to exist. At this moment, he regretted that he was too impatient and took too little. After all, this was a level 5 spiritual material. It could be said to be the highest level spiritual material that the players could find at this stage. However, what made Lu Chai confused was why this spiritual material could not be used and why it could only be sold in the shop. However, since it was a special spiritual material, Lu Chai had no choice but to ask his men to take out the derived spiritual powder and throw it all into the shop. The initiators, Lu Wu and Bei Li, were relieved when they saw Lu Chai throw the derived spiritual rice into the shop. When Lu Chai and the others obtained the Son of the Sea, Lu Wu and Bei Li had already noticed them. They were concerned about the Son of the Sea, but Lu Wu and Bei Li were concerned about the derived spiritual rice that was nourished by the Son of the Sea. According to Bei Li, the orcs were not cultivating the Son of the Sea at all. They were relying on the Son of the Sea to nourish the special spiritual rice in the spiritual field. Although the spiritual rice was a level 5 spiritual material, it had the potential to evolve into a king-level spiritual material. Initially, Lu Wu did not plan to snatch these spiritual materials from Lu Chai and the others. However, Bei Li panicked and quickly changed the data on the panel. This made Lu Chai and the others think that this spiritual material was useless, and they still chose to sell it to the shop. Little Li, what are these spiritual materials used for? Lu Wu was curious. After all, he had spent a huge sum of 6,000 soul coins to buy these spiritual materials. Bei Li had a smile on her face. Didn't I say before that if you want to become a god, like the great emperor of Dongyu, you must have a high starting point? Normal spiritual materials are too useless for you, but the derived spiritual rice is different. This is a special spiritual material that is half a step into the king level. In other words, it's time for your cultivation. Lu Wu. His smile gradually became excited. Then what are you going to let me cultivate? Are there any god-level techniques? Bei Li nodded her head solemnly and slowly took out the little notebook that Lu Wu was very familiar with from her small pocket. Chapter 93. Bei Li flipped through the little notebook seriously. Then, she pointed at the page that was smeared black and said with a serious face, "You're right. Just cultivate this." Lu Wu was speechless. "It's black. What do you want me to learn?" Lu Wu was helpless. Bei Li chuckled and tore off the black paper with a tearing sound. She then touched it with the battle accessory ring. Suddenly, the black paper melted at a speed visible to the naked eye until it disappeared. "Get ready, I'll transfer it to you." As soon as Bei Li finished speaking, a huge amount of data flowed into Lu Wu's mind. Apart from the data that kept appearing in front of Lu Wu's eyes, there were also ancient beasts that roared at the sky. Each of them was like a mountain that traversed the earth, comparable to the gods. The Dark Emperor Code, using the beast body to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth, forming the indestructible dark body. This is the great dark sky. Bei Li's voice rang in his mind. "Wu, choose a divine beast in your mind as your initial enlightened beast body." Bei Li's voice rang in Lu Wu's mind again. Upon hearing this, Lu Wu focused his mind and began to choose among the beasts. In Lu Wu's eyes, these divine beasts all had extraordinary auras and were extremely domineering. He could not choose one as the initial enlightened beast body that Bei Li mentioned. Bei Li's voice rang again. "Wu, hurry up." Lu Wu's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. He glanced at the divine beast again and focused his mind on a divine beast with snow-white fur and flowing lights. Swan, swan. The black piece of paper appeared in Lu Wu's mind and started burning rapidly. The mythical beast slowly faded from this world. Lu Wu felt like his body was burning. He tried to open his eyes, but realized that he could not control his eyelids at all. The heat lasted for a while, and Lu Wu started to feel thirsty. As time passed, a chill hit him. Lu Wu realized that he could control his body again, and he slowly opened his eyes. However, Lu Wu soon felt that something was wrong. Why were the things in front of him magnified? TSK, TSK, so cute. Bailey squatted down and looked at Lu Wu, who had turned into a white cat, and smiled. Lu Wu was speechless. Bailey then took a mirror from the table and passed it to Lu Wu. Look at it yourself, it's really cute. Looking at the white cat in the mirror, Lu Wu's expression gradually became dull. What did you do to me, you bastard? Comprehending the Tao in the beast form is your choice. This is the initial form. Hearing this, Lu Wu almost fainted on the spot. After listening to Bei Li's explanation, Lu Wu understood that he had to maintain this form for a while before he could return to his human form. Lu Wu was relieved, but he still felt unhappy. However, Lu Wu also noticed that in this form, the objects in his eyes were exceptionally clear, and he felt that his body was much stronger than before. To familiarize himself with his new body, Lu Wu began to walk around the house. He tried to move his limbs, but as soon as he moved his forelimbs, he fell to the ground. Lu Wu was not used to his new body, so he couldn't even walk normally. All he could do was run and fall all the way. Lu Wu grimaced in pain and couldn't help but meow. After another big fall, Lu Wu wanted to get up, but he felt his body lighten and his vision quickly went up. What? Lu Wu asked as he looked at Bei Li, who lifted him up. You're so cute. Bailey hugged Lu Wu in her arms and rubbed him hard. What the F***? Lu Wu wanted to cry, but no tears came out. This is so unbearable. I didn't expect this to happen to me. All right, it's time to eat. Eating the derived spiritual rice will help you to return to your human form in advance. Bailey placed Lu Wu on the ground as she spoke and waved her hand. A stalk of derived spiritual rice appeared from the space and was caught by Bailey. After that, Bailey plucked a few grains of derived spiritual rice from the plant and placed them in the center of her palm before Lu Wu's mouth. Here, eat it. That's enough. Show me some respect. Looking at Bei Li, who was feeding him with a face full of expectation, Lu Wu felt that his pride was being challenged. Eat it quickly. It will help your body grow. Bailey pushed the derived spiritual rice towards Lu Wu's mouth again. Lu Wu felt helpless and indignant. He lowered his head and swallowed all the derived spiritual rice into his stomach. The derived spiritual rice turned into spiritual mist as soon as it entered his mouth and spread throughout his body. It slowly seeped into Lu Wu's body, causing him to shiver uncontrollably as he felt a sense of comfort. All right, Wu, you have to exercise more in the future to speed up the absorption of spiritual energy. Work hard to transform into a human as soon as possible, Bailey said as she made a cheering gesture. Lu Wu remained expressionless. He felt that the life of a cat. No, life was hopeless. That's not right. I'm a man. Why should I be afraid of this little girl? Is this little girl really going to eat me? Thinking of this, Lu Wu raised his claws and slapped the ground, howling in a domineering manner. However, Bailey giggled and reached out her hand to rub Lu Wu's head again. Lu Wu's imposing manner disappeared in an instant. Lu Wu felt like he had suffered another blow. He got up, found a corner, and began to cry silently. These days were too hard to bear. This was just the beginning. When would it end? The next morning, Lu Wu was still sleeping on his bed with his limbs spread out. Suddenly, he felt an external force shaking him. Lu Wu, who had stayed up all night thinking about his life, opened his bloodshot eyes. Looking at Bei Li's sweet smile, he dispiritedly reached out his claws and slapped Bei Li's hand away. Stop it, I'm going back to sleep. Wu, I told you yesterday that you have to exercise more to speed up the digestion of spiritual energy, Bailey said as she tried to pull Lu Wu up from the bed. Lu Wu ignored her and waved his hand dispiritedly before closing his eyes again. Looking at Lu Wu, who was lazing around in bed, Bei Li's lips curled upwards. She took out a grain of derived spiritual rice the size of a fairy fruit from the artifact space and threw it at Lu Wu's head. Hey, catch the rice. When the derived spiritual rice flew over Lu Wu's head, his nose twitched twice. Ever since he started cultivating, he had been feeling hungry all the time. Smelling the scent of the derived spiritual rice, a strong desire came from his body. He closed his eyes, jumped up from the bed, and held the derived spiritual rice in his mouth. Smack! Lu Wu, who had jumped up, was caught in Bei Li's arms before he landed. It's time to exercise. As she spoke, Bei Li carried Lu Wu, who was struggling, to the door. She then opened the door, threw Lu Wu out, and closed the door with a bang. A moment later, hearing that there was no more movement outside the house, Bei Li carefully opened the door again. Hi, hello, little Li, asterisk. Lu Wu squatted on the floor and greeted Bei Li. Bang! The door was closed again, leaving Lu Wu alone in the wind. Bang! 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 Open the door, I want to go home. I'm hungry, I want to eat derived spiritual rice, I want to eat. Open the door for me. No matter how hard Lu Wu tried, there was no response from inside the house. Chapter 94. On the third day of Lu Wu's cultivation in the beast form. Wu, the super love cat breakfast I made for you is ready. Come and have a taste of my cooking. A voice from the kitchen interrupted Lu Wu's train of thought. At the same time, there was a mixed smell that made Lu Wu's heart skip a beat. Out of curiosity, Lu Wu jumped off the sofa and jogged towards the kitchen. When Lu Wu entered the kitchen, he saw the steaming plate of ugly food that was a mixture of black and green and covered with a layer of brown cheese. He immediately wagged his tail and prepared to escape. While running, Lu Wu mumbled in despair, it's over, it's getting worse and worse. I can't live like this anymore. What made Lu Wu even more desperate was that he was caught by Bei Li and brought back to the dining table. Wu, this is a delicacy that I've specially prepared for you. How can you not try it? Bei Li said angrily as she rubbed the expressionless Lu Wu. If you have the ability to do it, why don't you take a bite first? What kind of ability is abusing me? Lu Wu glanced at the encyclopedia of cat food that was spread open on the dining table. He then looked at the strange, steaming food and cursed in his heart. At this moment, Bei Li wrapped a small triangular scarf around Lu Wu's neck. She pointed at the food with a face full of anticipation. Eat up. Just you wait. When I recover my human form, I'll spank your ass. At this moment, Lu Wu seriously suspected that Bei Li had deliberately allowed him to cultivate the Dark Emperor Codex. However, Lu Wu had no choice but to lower his head. He gave up resisting and stood in front of the food with a determined look on his face. Slowly, he lowered his proud head. The moment the food entered his mouth, blurg, Lu Wu arched his back and spat out all the food in his mouth. He had tasted terrible food before, but it was the first time Lu Wu had tasted such a disgusting dark cuisine. The moment the liquid melted in his mouth and slid down his throat came into contact with his gastric juice, his stomach began to convulse, sending signals to Lu Wu's brain that he was about to vomit. Lu Wu even suspected that he would die of food poisoning if he did not spit it out. Looking at Lu Wu's terrified face, Bei Li was surprised. Is it not delicious? Don't you have any self-awareness? Lu Wu was speechless. Pooh, pooh, pooh. Lu Wu spat out all the remaining liquid in his mouth. Still feeling disgusted, Lu Wu jumped off the dining table and went to the drinking bowl that Bei Li had prepared for him. That was close. He almost lost his life. Lu Wu still had a lingering fear. Looking at Lu Wu's series of reactions, the insensitive Bei Li seemed to have realized something. She smiled awkwardly and picked up a piece of dark cuisine with her chopsticks. Puzzled, she put it in her mouth. Is it that difficult, blarg? Seeing that Bei Li was also standing by the sink, rinsing her mouth and vomiting, Lu Wu's face revealed a gloating expression. He was even secretly pleased. However, Lu Wu's smile soon froze. Bei Li spat out another mouthful of water. She looked at Lu Wu with a pale but determined face. Wu, it was purely a mistake this time. I will definitely cook better next time. The bad news came so suddenly that the cat was caught off guard. Lu Wu, who was secretly feeling good, was instantly petrified. It seemed like the crisis of food poisoning had not left him. Lu Wu subconsciously covered his face and made a sad expression. In the end, Lu Wu still had to rely on the spirit rice to satisfy his hunger. However, the spirit rice was not enough. According to Bei Li, one should not eat too much of this level 5 spiritual material. Otherwise, the spiritual energy in one's body would be too much to absorb. It would cause harm to one's body. Therefore, while eating the spirit rice to cultivate, one must also do high-intensity exercise. After explaining to Lu Wu, Bailey took out a cat teaser stick from her shopping bag. Lu Wu was speechless. Come on, kill me. Just kill me. How can a human live like this? Lu Wu's face was filled with despair. It's fine if you want to transform into a kitten, but what the hell is this cat teaser stick? Is this considered exercise? You're challenging my dignity. After all, I'm the king of Baiki with hundreds of thousands of mercenaries under me. I don't care about my dignity. Suddenly, Bailey approached Lu Wu and carried him to the electronic scale in the living room. She pointed at the number on the scale and said, Look, aren't you getting fat? Look, aren't you getting fatter? Although the spirit rice isn't enough to fill you up, it's still very effective. It's making you fatter. Looking at the number, Lu Wu was expressionless. He would rather die of obesity than be teased by a cat teaser stick. Bailey even demonstrated a set of kitten-biting gymnastics, but Lu Wu remained expressionless. In the end, Bailey had no choice but to give up on the idea. After that, Lu Wu quietly found a corner and curled up in it. He began to doubt his life. Why do I have to cultivate? Is it not good to be alive? Days like this made him feel like a pet cat. After a while of grief, Lu Wu immersed his consciousness into the game to numb himself from the pain. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would run away from home. Recently, the deserted rock mountain had become much more lively. Wave after wave of players came to cut down trees. Moreover, they kept pushing in from the periphery. A large number of tree demons fell into the hands of the players and turned into spiritual materials for the ship maintenance. At this time, groups of players were going deeper into the periphery of the North Rocks. Along the way, the players would greet each other cordially when they met. Hey, you're here to cut down trees too. What a coincidence. Brother, we meet again. You're here today too. Good luck. Brother, what level is your ship at? Oh, level 3. You'll have to work hard then. In the past few days, the players' crazy cutting had alarmed the Rock Ghost King, making him even angrier. From the Rock Ghost King's point of view, he had shown enough respect to this new force of Baiki. Even when they occupied the mansion of the dead in Azure Glaze, he did not make any targeted moves. However, he did not expect that these players would take the initiative to provoke him, even though he did not pick a fight. They even formed a sinister encirclement and tried to take down his North Rocks by nibbling away at it bit by bit. The Rock Ghost King could no longer tolerate such behavior that challenged his bottom line. At this moment, he was ready to counterattack and let these new forces know whose territory the North Rocks belonged to. Chapter 95. The Rock Ghost King was finally infuriated after the players' frenzied attacks. He was ready to mobilize his army to suppress the players. Du Yin, who was undercover, quickly returned to the mansion of the dead before he was discovered and informed Lu Wu of the news. Lu Wu was not surprised by the Rock Ghost King's plan. Knowing what the players were doing, he guessed that it was a possibility. The Rock Ghost King was not like Cha Na, the Ghost General. Whether it was the strength of his subordinates or his personal ability, he was several times stronger than Cha Na. Therefore, Lu Wu did not plan to confront him head-on at this stage. Moreover, he did not believe that the Rock Ghost King would dare to attack the Mansion of the Dead. This was because the Rock Ghost King's vitality would be greatly damaged and his subordinates would suffer heavy losses. It would be disadvantageous to his position in Baiki. He believed that the Rock Ghost King was aware of the pros and cons. Even if the Rock Ghost King really dared to come, Lu Wu would not be afraid. Lu Wu had the battle artifact. Even if the Mansion of the Dead fell, he could totally store all the important buildings into the channel. He would not even give the Rock Ghost King a chance to guard the corpses. At that time, he would just have to issue a maintenance announcement, and all the players would go offline. Just as Lu Wu thought, the Rock Ghost King did not intend to start a full-scale war this time. Instead, he wanted to eliminate a group of players with a thunderous suppression to demonstrate the strength of the North Rocks and intimidate them. He did not want to take the risk because he did not know how deep the foundation of this new Baiki force was. At this time, tens of thousands of players were still lingering on the outskirts of the North Rocks, looking for materials to maintain the ships. At this time, a shocking scene happened. The ground began to tremble, and a layer of emerald green light shrouded from the depths of the dense forest. In the blink of an eye, the entire outskirts of the North Rocks were covered. Countless ordinary trees began to twist and transform, uprooting themselves from the ground. At the same time, countless tree demons gathered from all directions and attacked the players together with the enchanted trees. Faced with the attack of countless enchanted trees and tree demons, the players immediately launched a counterattack. However, this was just the beginning. In the depths of the dense forest, the ancient tree demons, iron zombies, and other powerful creatures also received the Rock Ghost King's order and began to move toward the outskirts of the North Rocks. At this moment, there were only 30,000 players in the northern region. Facing such a massive attack, they were forced to retreat. However, the Rock Ghost King had no intention of letting these players go. With a cold snort, 5 gigantic ancient trees floated into the air beside him and smashed hard behind the players. They then took root in the ground and formed a barrier, blocking the players' way. The ancient tree demon did not budge in the face of the players' attempts to break out of its encirclement. It waved its arms made of branches, and every time it swatted away a large group of players. After checking the attribute panel of these ancient treants, the players discovered that each of these ancient treants were 10,000 years old, and their strength was close to that of a ghost general. In the face of such a strong suppression, the players had no way out. At this moment, a player shouted in the regional channel, "Since we can't escape, why don't we kill a few more treants and get some spiritual materials?" Hearing this, the players were stunned. Suddenly, they realized what they were afraid of. Since they were going to die anyway, it would be worth it if they could get any spiritual materials. Therefore, the players who were concentrating on attacking the ancient treants suddenly changed their direction and attacked the enchanted trees and treants in front of them. When the Rock Ghost King, who had been observing the situation of the battle, saw this scene, the smile on his face froze. The counterattack of the players was completely beyond his expectations. In order to figure out what was going on, the Rock Ghost King could no longer sit still. His body floated into the air. His huge body that was 100 meters tall landed heavily in the middle of the crowd of players who were preparing to fight back. Boom! When he landed, with the Rock Ghost King as the center, all the players within a few hundred meters were shaken to the ground by a huge shockwave. This appearance could be said to be domineering and oppressive. However, unlike what he had imagined, the players did not look horrified. Instead, they all turned around and looked at him with a face full of desire. There were even a few players who subconsciously wiped their saliva. Rock Ghost King, an ancient giant tree in the northern region of the rocks that has cultivated for 100,000 years. It has mastered the top-notch with spells and the way of nature. Its cultivation has reached the middle stage of the Ghost King. After its death, it can be turned into a king-level spiritual material. Good lad, it turned out to be a legendary king-level medicinal material. Show your health bar. My big ship is already thirsty. Kill him for me. Just give me a handful of wood after killing him. I seem to see a manor, a yacht, a beautiful woman. Kill. Such a king tree. If my big ship eats it, it will become an aircraft carrier. It's not just an aircraft carrier. It might even evolve into a spaceship. The eyes of the players were bloodshot as they looked at the Rock Ghost King. Their hearts were full of desire. The players knew how precious king-level medicinal materials were. Even a bit of wood shavings would be a precious treasure. At this moment, all the players were blinded by their interests and attacked the Rock Ghost King. Facing the crazy siege of the players, the Rock Ghost King was as still as a mountain. Any attack that landed on his body was like a tickle and could not cause any substantial damage at all. However, the players' gazes made the Rock Ghost King feel very uncomfortable. Even his subordinates looked at him with fear and respect. Why were these creatures so excited as if they were on steroids? Don't they know who I am, the Rock Ghost King? Although he could not figure it out, the player's actions had completely infuriated the Rock Ghost King. With a twist of his body, the branches grew wildly. With him as the center, the area within a kilometer was covered by countless branches. A large number of players were rolled up by the branches and strangled in the air. At this moment, the Rock Ghost King demonstrated his powerful strength as the overlord of the North region. Even if the players launched attacks again and again, everything was in vain under the strong power of the realm level. 30,000 players were annihilated in a short, while under the pincer attack from both inside and outside. However, after the battle ended, the Rock Ghost King was confused. Spell Master? Rune Warrior? He was very familiar with the abilities displayed by the players. These powers had obviously disappeared from the land of Baki for a long time. Why did they reappear now? The Rock Ghost King faintly felt that there was a conspiracy brewing in the land of Baki. Chapter 96. The video of the battle with the Rock Ghost King was quickly uploaded to the official forum after the battle, causing a heated discussion among the players. Although the power displayed by the Rock Ghost King was not as terrifying as that of the demonic god and Hitterigami, it still showed the players how powerful a Ghost King was. Faced with the siege of tens of thousands of players, the Rock Ghost King relied on his own ability to create a wood realm and strangled all the players. This made the players understand that the Rock Ghost King was almost invincible in this realm. He was not someone that could be killed by relying on numbers like Cha-Na. However, the players were not scared off after the battle. Under the temptation of spiritual materials, they once again formed small groups of players to search for the tree demons in the North Rocks. However, this time, the Rock Ghost King was already prepared. He sent 3 ancient trees to stand on the periphery of the North Rocks. All the players who went were killed by the ancient tree demons on the spot. They could not resist at all. Faced with such a situation, the players began to discuss new countermeasures in the forum. After all, cutting down trees was the only way for many civilian players to maintain their boats. Watermelon_Taro slammed the table. I'm so angry that they won't let me cut down trees. I'm already poor, and now they don't even give me the right to carry bricks. When are we going to kill this rock ghost tree? I'm so angry. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Watermelon_Taro. Sit down, Shioair. How many times have I told you? We can't defeat the Rock Ghost King with our current strength. Strike_Soul. It's not a good time to start a war. Let's conserve our energy and continue to develop our strength. The Rock Ghost King will be finished sooner or later. Don't be hasty. It'll be terrible if he attacks us on a large scale like Cha-Na. Leader of the demolition officers, I think I found a good place with a lot of high-level spiritual materials. However, I'm struggling to share them with everyone because I can't eat them all. Peppa_Boar replied to the leader of the demolition officers. What are you waiting for? Tell us now. Have you forgotten that the Baki army is a family? Leader of the demolition officers replied to Peppa_Boar. You're from Myth Guild, right? That's not what you said when you slashed me with a sword. Shueli_the_strongest. Have you guys forgotten? The Ghost Mountains can actually lead to the North Rocks. As long as we don't go through the main entrance, it's not a problem for us to cut down a few trees secretly. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Shueli_the_strongest. Awesome, great idea. Is there anyone in the Night Tree Thief Squad? It would be best if there are assassins. Watermelon_Taro replied to Shueli_the_strongest. I've found a way to carry bricks again. Thank you, Missy. Moi Assassin's Creed, selling a handful of wood shavings from the Rock Ghost King in the front row. The highest bidder gets it. Screenshot. Rock Tree Chip, level 5 spiritual material. Wood chips drop from the Rock Ghost King. It still contains powerful wood spiritual power. Invincible_loneliness replied to Assassin_Creed. Bro, you're awesome. I want this item, but I'm curious how you got it. Assassin's Creed replied to Invincible_loneliness. It's a long story. It was a close call. I dodged thousands of whipping branches with a shadow step and approached the Rock Ghost King with my agile body movement. I aimed at the fatal spot of the Rock Ghost King with my dagger and followed it up with an earth-shattering slash. Only then did I manage to scrape off a handful of treasures. Oh yeah, I died after that. Laughing emoji. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Assassin_Creed. Shioair, do you need me to play a song for you? Laughing emoji. Assassin_Creed replied to Crayon_Shinchan. As the strongest argumentative in this forum, you're the Shioair that everyone recognizes. Laughing emoji. A_Mammoth. Let's follow Shueli's suggestion and take a detour through the ghost mountains. The few ancient tree demons in front of us are about to become ghost generals. We can't defeat them without hundreds of thousands of people. Piss_against_wind. Actually, everyone can explore the sea and look for islands with resources. Didn't the demolition officers get the son of the sea? Aren't you envious? Ultraman_Tiga. Speaking of which, I'm still curious about the special ability that will be granted after swallowing the son of the sea. Are they hiding it so well? Why didn't they expose it? Monkey King_equal_heaven. The president of the demolition officers might be gathering his strength and preparing to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. Laughing emoji. After some discussion, the players finally found a way to steal the trees. Hence, groups of teams began to enter the Ghost Mountains and took a detour to the North Rocks from the Ghost Mountains, continuing their plan of carrying bricks and maintaining boats. Luwu did not stop them because Du Yin had come once and told him that the Rock Ghost King was now very afraid of this new force of Beiki. As he could not figure out the depth of the players' army, they did not dare to launch a large-scale attack at this stage. The fact that the players dared to continue to enter the North Rocks was already a message to the Rock Ghost King. That is, we are not afraid of you at all. This made the Rock Ghost King even more fearful. As for whether the players' actions would trigger a large-scale war, Luwu was already preparing for it. This war had to be fought sooner or later. After all, the Rock Ghost King had long been a fragrant steam bun in the eyes of the players. Of course, the later the war started, the more advantageous it would be for the players. At the same time, Luwu released a new game mission into the game. Special Mission. Collection of special spiritual materials. Mission description. In the Void Ocean, there are many special islands. On these special islands, there are spiritual fields that can cultivate special spiritual materials. Players, please explore the ocean, find the special spiritual fields, and collect the special spiritual materials. Mission reward. After all the special spiritual materials are sold in the shop, they can be exchanged for a high amount of soul coins. In this mission, Luwu did not mention the location of Insect Island. There were two reasons why he did not mention it. The first reason was that the Insect Island was discovered by the Demolition Guild. Since they did not plan to share it with the players, Luwu did not intend to make it public either. If he made the Insect Island public, it would undoubtedly displease the members of the Demolition Guild. Considering the big picture, this was also a privilege that an explorer should have. The second reason was that Xiao Tian was one of the 4 generals under the Sea King. His strength was close to the Ghost King realm. With the current scale of the players' power on the sea, it was still too early to fight him head-on. Of course, Luwu issued this mission for the sake of his own cultivation. At this stage, he still needed a large amount of spiritual rice to accelerate the growth of his body so that he could transform into a human again. This stage was undoubtedly very painful for Luwu. First of all, he did not have enough to eat every day. Normal food would be digested quickly after Luwu ate it, so it was not of much use. On the other hand, spiritual rice was linked to spiritual energy. Luwu would have indigestion if he ate too much, so he should not eat too much. This caused Luwu to feel hungry every day. As for the food made by Bailey, Luwu said that he would never eat it again after tasting it once. He was afraid that he would be poisoned to death before he could transform into a human. However, as the days passed, Luwu gradually felt the changes in his body. Although he was now in the form of a beast, his reflexes and body strength had obviously improved. His soul had also undergone a qualitative change during the cultivation. It could be said that the cultivation was very effective. At least Bailey could no longer defeat him. Chapter 97. The Void Ocean, Insect Island. A ferocious-looking giant werewolf with 2 fangs was pacing around the spiritual field. Xiao Tian trembled as he looked at the pits in the spiritual field. He couldn't believe that someone dared to steal his treasures right under his nose and even dared to kill his child. Although the thieves were all killed, the most important son of the sea was missing. This filled Xiao Tian with rage. The son of the sea did not belong to him. He borrowed it from the Sea King. His purpose was to use the divine power of the son of the sea to nourish the spiritual fields on Insect Island to cultivate special spiritual materials. However, the most important son of the sea was lost. He did not know how to explain this to the Sea King. "Boss, we've searched the entire island, but we still can't find the son of the sea." An orc ran from afar and reported to Xiao Tian. Upon hearing this, Xiao Tian's eyes turned gloomy. He knew the temper of the Sea King. Although he was one of the 4 generals under the Sea King, he would definitely be beaten up by the Sea King for losing the son of the sea. Keep searching. Also, find out which race in the Void Ocean those thieves are from. If I find out who they are, I'll wipe out their entire clan. Xiao Tian was filled with rage and had nowhere to vent it. At this moment, another orc hurried over from afar. "Boss, there are a few big ships and a group of people alighted. They said that they're merchants who came from afar, and they want to trade for something." "Sea merchants?" Xiao Tian was stunned. The Underworld Sea-Ocean Trading Association did exist in the Underworld Ocean. These trade associations were established by powerhouses like the Sea King, or even those who were more powerful than him. They would often appear in various sea regions to purchase treasures and spiritual materials. Then, they would hold treasure auctions at specific times to sell these items to cultivators from other sea regions at a higher price. However, Xiao Tian did not understand why the sea merchants would come to his Insect Island. There should not be anything they needed here. Let's go and have a look. Xiao Tian then walked toward the dock of Insect Island. At Insect Island's seaport, Lu Chai and the others were wearing white heavy armor and masks as they waited quietly for Xiao Tian's arrival. "Boss, do you think we'll be discovered?" a member whispered to Lu Chai. Upon hearing that, Lu Chai glared at him. "What's there to be afraid of? They definitely won't be able to recognize us with our current appearance. Let's fool them first and then find a way to get some spiritual materials back." The lackeys nodded their heads and waited quietly. Although the Demolition Guild had fought with the armed forces of Insect Island several times, Lu Chai and the rest had never exposed the existence of the battleship. Therefore, they were fully armed as a disguise. Soon, Xiao Tian's burly figure appeared not far away, and behind him, there were hundreds of strong beastmen, all the way aggressive. After coming closer, Xiao Tian glanced at the battleship, then looked at Lu Chai, who was standing at the front. "Which Chamber of Commerce are you from? What is your objective?" Lu Chai, who had already thought of his lines, immediately said, "Demolition Guild, here to trade." Although he had never heard of the Sea Trading Association, Xiao Tian did not notice anything wrong with it. He nodded. "What do you want?" "I heard that Insect Island has derived spiritual rice. We happen to be in need of this spiritual material. Are you willing to sell it?" Island Master Xiao Tian, "You guys are well informed. Insect Island does have derived spiritual rice, but what are you going to trade for it?" Xiao Tian squinted his eyes. Xiao Tian knew a lot about the Sea Trading Association. He knew that if they were to buy his derived spiritual rice, the price would definitely increase by a few times. Therefore, he had the urge to make a fortune. Lu Chai, who was already prepared, waved his hand. Upon seeing that, a few of his subordinates quickly moved 2 boxes from the battleship and opened them in front of Xiao Tian. When the first box was opened, the fragrance of spiritual materials filled the air. The second box contained more than 10 pieces of purple quality equipment. Upon seeing that, Xiao Tian took a few steps forward and stood up after checking the 2 boxes. The highest quality item in this box is only level 5 spiritual material. The quality of the equipment in this box is not bad. However, as a member of the Sea Trading Association, this item is too lousy. Cough, cough, Lu Chai cursed in his heart. One had to know that he had paid a huge price to gather this batch of goods. However, it seemed like Xiao Tian was not interested in them at all. Island Master Xiao Tian, since we have traveled a long way, we have traded most of our goods. Therefore, we are only left with these items. How many tufts of derived spiritual rice do you think they could be exchanged for? Xiao Tian did not suspect anything. However, he felt that the items in front of him were not enough to pique his interest. However, since the other party had traveled a long way and was a member of the powerful Sea Trading Association, he had no choice but to give them face. Therefore, he thought about it and said, "How about this? I will give you 4 tufts of derived spiritual rice. Leave these items behind." Upon hearing that, Lu Chai's eyes flashed with joy. He quickly replied, "Thank you, Island Master. I will definitely bring good goods to trade with you next time." Upon hearing that, Xiao Tian nodded. He would treat it as forming a good relationship with the trading association in front of him. "Follow me." Lu Chai gestured to the back and followed Xiao Tian into the island. They followed Xiao Tian all the way through the inner island controlled by the orcs. After crossing a long bridge made of vines, Lu Chai and the others were surprised to find out that there were many spiritual fields on the inner island. What shocked them even more was that there was a son of the sea in each of the spiritual fields. Along the way, Lu Chai counted the spiritual fields. There were a total of 4 spiritual fields. Including the one on the outer island, there were 5 spiritual fields. These were all soul coins. Lu Chai could feel his heart trembling. At this moment, Lu Chai realized how lucky he was. The security on the inner island was obviously a few times stricter than the outer island. Lu Chai guessed that the main reason why he could steal the Son of the Sea was that the spiritual field on the outer island could not be moved. Another reason was that the Sea King Navy was the overlord of the Void Ocean. Since no one dared to invade them for a long time, the security was lax. They followed Xiao Tian all the way to the ring-shaped inner lake at the end. Xiao Tian stopped and said to his subordinates, "Go and pick 24 tufts of derived spiritual rice." After giving the order, Xiao Tian's eyes flashed with anticipation. "Honorable guest, I wonder if your trading association will accept a bounty mission to help me find someone." Chapter 98. Lu Chai was stunned when he heard Xiao Tian mention a bounty mission. In fact, his understanding of the Sea Trading Association came from a marine tribe during an island exploration. According to them, the Sea Trading Association was a huge alliance of trade associations. The members of the trade associations appeared in various seas, collecting spiritual materials and treasures. Moreover, every member of the trade associations had a special characteristic, which was that they would always have a specter ship. After knowing the characteristics of the members of the trade associations, Lu Chai came up with the idea of impersonating a trade association to cheat. However, he did not know anything about a bounty mission, so he was speechless. After thinking for a while, Lu Chai asked, "Lord Xiao Tian, what do you want to entrust me with? This matter is infuriating. To be honest, a treasure has been lost on Insect Island recently. I want to entrust the Demolition Chamber of Commerce to help me find out which clan the thief belongs to." From Xiao Tian's point of view, the Sea Trading Association was powerful and had eyes all over the sea. If they could accept this task, it would be easy to find the thief. After all, only by finding the Son of the Sea could he answer to the Sea King. Hearing Xiao Tian's explanation, Lu Chai pretended to be calm, but in fact, he was overjoyed. "Lord Xiao Tian, I wonder what kind of treasure has been lost that you want to entrust the Trade Association to investigate. Our bounty is not small." Xiao Tian's face turned gloomy. "The Son of the Sea." "What? It's the Son of the Sea. This thief is so daring to steal such a treasure." Lu Chai exclaimed. "That's right. Is your trade association willing to accept this bounty? As long as you can find out which clan the thief belongs to, I'll handle the rest myself. However, I'm confused. Since it's a treasure like the Son of the Sea, why didn't you send a large number of soldiers to guard it? I can understand if it was robbed, but I don't understand why it was stolen." When Lu Chai asked this question, he almost laughed out loud, but he held it in. Lu Chai's question made Xiao Tian's face turn pale. The Son of the Sea was such a precious treasure that he naturally sent a lot of soldiers to guard it. Moreover, it was the few strongest orcs under him who took turns to guard it. However, there had never been any mistakes in the past few years. This made the orcs who were guarding the Son of the Sea a lot less vigilant, which led to the current predicament. This spiritual field is in the outer circle of the island. I was negligent, but is your Demolition Chamber of Commerce willing to accept this commission? Xiao Tian didn't want to explain too much. He took a deep breath to calm himself down. Then your commission fee, 20 stalks of derived spiritual rice as a deposit. I'll give you another 30 stalks, as long as we can find the clan behind this. Xiao Tian felt his heart ache when he mentioned the price. However, he knew the price of losing the Son of the Sea, and the members of the Sea Trade Association were a bunch of greedy fellows. If the price was too low, they would definitely not work hard. Hence, Xiao Tian gritted his teeth and said. Lu Chai was overjoyed when he heard Xiao Tian's offer. His original idea was to negotiate a good price with Xiao Tian as a sea merchant. When it was time to deliver the goods, he would find a chance to put all the things into the space and let Xiao Tian lose everything. As for the issue of safety, Lu Chai and the rest had already planned to use their lives to scam Xiao Tian. They had no intention of going back alive at all. However, compared to the 4 stalks of derived spiritual rice, Lu Chai wanted the 50 stalks more. Soon, the orc who went to get the spiritual materials returned and passed the bag containing the derived spiritual rice to Xiao Tian. Xiao Tian opened the bag and took a glance before passing it to Lu Chai. Are you willing to accept this commission? Here are 24 stalks of derived spiritual rice. 20 stalks are the deposit. I'll pay you another 30 stalks of derived spiritual rice after this is done. All right, the Demolition Chamber of Commerce will definitely bring you the thief within 3 days, Lu Chai said confidently. Xiao Tian nodded. In fact, his trust in Lu Chai came from the giant specter warship that was docked at the dock. The most obvious feature that distinguished the strength of a member of the Sea Trade Association was their carrier. Ordinary members of the Sea Trade Association were using specter warships as carriers. The specter warship owned by Lu Chai was basically owned by the members of the Sea Trade Association who were more influential. The cost of building such a specter warship was huge. It required a lot of resources, and the warship would be even more powerful after it was completed. Hence, Xiao Tian felt that a member of such a large Sea Trade Association would definitely not take 20 stalks of derived spiritual rice for himself. However, what he did not know was that in Bei Li's settings, these specter warships were like empty shells. They were not finished products at all. Instead, players would need to collect the materials and cultivate them bit by bit. However, Xiao Tian was not aware of this. Lu Chai was overjoyed as he took the derived spiritual rice from Xiao Tian. He then said in the guild live chat channel, "Brothers, let's trade the goods with them this time. If we don't sacrifice our children, we won't be able to catch the wolf." I'm going to scam Xiao Tian again. A few of his followers put down the 2 boxes upon hearing this. Xiao Tian's eyes flashed with excitement when he saw Lu Chai's promise. He knew that he still had a chance. With the help of the Sea Trade Association's powerful informants, he might be able to take back the Son of the Sea. After the trade was completed, Lu Chai and the rest calmly returned to the dock under the guidance of the Orc Guide. The spiritual fields and spiritual plants along the way made Lu Chai and the rest envious. They swore to themselves that they would destroy this place sooner or later. After boarding the warship and sailing a certain distance away, Lu Chai and the rest took off their masks and laughed heartily after making sure that Insect Island could not detect their movements. This Xiao Tian is really an idiot. 24 stalks of spiritual materials. We're rich. We're rich. Boss, why did you leave the 2 boxes behind? We spent a lot of money on those spiritual materials and equipment, one of his followers said with a pained expression. Idiot, I'm setting a trap for them. Didn't you hear him say that we can get the remaining 30 stalks of derived spiritual rice as long as we find the thief? Where are we going to find the thief? The follower was confused. Aren't you and I the thief that he's looking for? Lu Chai laughed heartily. He was already planning the next trade in his mind. Chapter 99. The next day, Void Ocean, Insect Island. A specter warship came from afar. After landing at the dock, Lu Chai explained the purpose of his visit to the orcs stationed at the dock. Xiao Tian immediately rushed to the dock after receiving the news. Xiao Tian was very excited as he looked at the familiar figures of Lu Chai and the others. He knew that the demolition traders would not visit again the next day if they did not find the thieves who stole the Son of the Sea. Did you find the thieves who stole the Son of the Sea? Xiao Tian asked excitedly as he looked at Lu Chai. Lu Chai nodded calmly. Not only did I find them, but I also brought them to the island owner. Lu Chai waved his hand, and 3 players who were not wearing heavy armor were taken down from the warship. Xiao Tian was in disbelief as he looked at the players who were tied up. How could the thieves who stole the Son of the Sea be caught so easily? That was too easy. He thought that the demolition traders had news, but he did not expect them to even catch the thieves. Boss, it should be them. They look very similar to the thieves who stole the Son of the Sea that day. They should be from the same race. An orc with a swollen face and many bloodstains on his body stood up and said. Xiao Tian looked at the tied-up players coldly when he heard his subordinate's words. Tell me, are you the ones who stole the Son of the Sea? Xiao Tian stepped forward and punched one of the players in the chest while he was asking the question. Xiao Tian did not use much strength in the punch, but the player spat out a mouthful of blood and wailed in pain. Lu Chai nodded secretly as he looked at his underlings who had turned off their sense of pain. These underlings were the smarter ones in the guild. They were picked by Lu Chai to fool Xiao Tian and cheat him of the remaining 30 spiritual materials. Xiao Tian grabbed the player's hair and lifted his head. Tell me, are you the ones who stole the Son of the Sea? The player was in pain. He then spat a mouthful of blood on Xiao Tian's face. Yes, I am. So what? Xiao Tian's face turned ferocious when he heard the player admit it. He was about to interrogate him when he felt that something was wrong. After all, this player had admitted it too quickly. It was as if he had been waiting for the question. This made Xiao Tian's heart sink, and he asked again, I think there should be someone behind this, right? You should be the scapegoat. Tell me, who is the one who stole the Son of the Sea? Upon hearing Xiao Tian's question, Lu Chai could not help but shout in the guild channel. Yes, let him suspect you. It's best if he thinks that there's a big organization behind you. Give me a more realistic performance. The player laughed at Xiao Tian. What are you talking about? It's us. We sneaked into the island from the seaside that day and hid beside the spiritual field for a few hours. When I saw your patrolling force changing shifts, I seized the opportunity to steal the Son of the Sea. My partner was killed by you because he stayed behind to cover us. Oh, that's right. I also killed your son. His name is Dog Egg, right? The player said mockingly. XXXX, Xiao Tian's anger was completely ignited, and he raised his hand and slapped the player's face badly mutilated. It really is you. How dare you? Tell me where the Son of the Sea is now. Seeing that the player had angered Xiao Tian, Lu Chai could not help but shout in the guild live channel. Good. Keep up the performance. You'll have a share of this batch of spiritual materials. When he heard this, the player who was slapped was overjoyed, but he still put on a weak expression. The Son of the Sea? I'm sorry. It's already been sold by our boss. You want it? Go and find it yourself. The player's words infuriated Xiao Tian. If these players did not know the clues, he would have slapped them all to death. So there's someone behind this. Tell me who your boss is, and I'll let you go. Xiao Tian asked in another way while looking at the stubborn player. I think you should worry about the other 4 Sons of the Sea on Insect Island first. You want to find our boss? Dream on. The player's words shocked Xiao Tian. He realized that the organization that stole the Son of the Sea seemed to be planning the next theft. What made him even more uneasy was that the kid had accurately said that there were 4 more Sons of the Sea on the island. A premeditated theft? A possibility came to Xiao Tian's mind. This speculation made Xiao Tian very angry. He did not know which organization was behind this that was targeting him. Thinking that this organization wanted to steal the other 4 Sons of the Sea, Xiao Tian was filled with uneasiness and vigilance. He could still explain to the Sea King that he had lost 1 Son of the Sea. Although he would be beaten up, at least he would not lose his life. However, if all 4 Sons of the Sea were lost, Xiao Tian knew that his only way out was to escape from the Void Ocean. Otherwise, the Sea King would never forgive him. At this moment, Xiao Tian was eager to know who was behind this premeditated theft. Do you really think that I can't do anything to you? Insect Island had a lot of methods to extort confessions. If you don't want to suffer, I advise you to tell me, Xiao Tian asked again, unwilling to give up. However, the 3 players were still unwilling to submit, even if they had to die. Faced with this situation, Xiao Tian waved his hand and signaled his subordinates to force the 3 players into the island. After the three players were taken away, Xiao Tian respectfully cupped his hands at Lu Chai. The strength of the Demolition Chamber of Commerce is indeed worthy of its reputation. Xiao Tian is impressed. However, are you willing to accept another commission? Upon hearing this, Lu Chai laughed in the guild live chat channel. Brothers, this fool really fell for it. He even said that the strength of the Demolition Chamber of Commerce is worthy of its reputation. It's as if he has heard of it before. Ha ha ha. The members of the guild could not help but laugh and praised him in the guild live chat channel. To be honest, Island Master, in order to catch these thieves, I have mobilized a large number of our Chamber of Commerce's informants. We found clues from the clues and personally went to capture them. Before Lu Chai could finish his sentence, Xiao Tian, who had already understood what he meant, interrupted him. 100 derived spiritual rice. As long as you find the person behind this, I, Xiao Tian, will not mistreat you. Xiao Tian's offer made the hearts of the Demolition Chamber of Commerce's members pound. Lu Chai nodded and pretended to be calm. Since Island Master is so sincere, the Demolition Chamber of Commerce will definitely give a try. Upon hearing this, a smile appeared on Xiao Tian's face. He then took 30 derived spiritual rice from his subordinates and passed it to Lu Chai. Then, Xiao Tian will wait for the Demolition Chamber of Commerce's next visit. Chapter 100. Lu Chai was fully prepared in order to scam Xiao Tian again. As expected, Xiao Tian, who was worried that the other 4 sons of the sea on the island would be stolen, fell for the trap again and was eager to find the mastermind behind the theft. This time, Xiao Tian offered 100 stalks of derived spiritual rice as a reward. If it was converted into soul coins, it would be 50,000. Such a huge amount of money tempted Lu Chai. However, after discussing with the guild members, Lu Chai had a new idea. After some consideration, he typed Gu Yu's name into his friend list and chose to add him. After a while, a message that his friend request was accepted appeared in his list. Gu Yu, why did you add me as a friend all of a sudden? Are you going to accept my suggestion to merge the demolition office into our myth guild? Lu Chai, get lost. My guild is very strong now. It's only a matter of time before we defeat you. Don't be too proud. Gu Yu, so? Why did you add me? Laughing emoji, Lu Chai. There's a big deal. I can't take it all on my own. Gu Yu, what big deal? Do you want to sell me soul coins too? I could take it all. Laughing emoji, Lu Chai, I found an island full of high-level spiritual materials. However, the garrison on the island is very strong. I want you to cooperate with me. We'll split the loot after the deal is done. Gu Yu, 50-50. Laughing emoji, Lu Chai. To tell you the truth, there are 4 sons of the sea on this island. It's up to you if you want to cooperate with me or not. You're not my only choice. Upon hearing that there were 4 sons of the sea, Gu Yu lost his composure. Agreed. Where are you now? I'll come to you, and we'll talk face to face. After knowing Lu Chai's location, Gu Yu hurried to the Lioli coast with a few guild members. The Son of the Sea was an epic-level treasure. It was something that could only be found by chance. Even Gu Yu was moved. He did not want to let go of this opportunity. After meeting Gu Yu, Lu Chai told him about Insect Island, how he got the Son of the Sea, and how he tricked Xiao Tian. Lu Chai's actions on Insect Island had shocked Gu Yu to the point of being dumbfounded. At the same time, he was a little excited. He did not expect that there would be such a treasure land. He finally understood how Lu Chai got his title as the Son of the Sea. Then how do you intend to cooperate? Lu Chai nodded. My idea is very simple. When the time comes, all of you will play the role of the mastermind behind the theft of the Son of the Sea. Then, I will inform Xiao Tian of your coordinates and let him lead the army to surround you. Then, the Demolition Guild and the other reinforcements that I have invited will be the main force to attack Insect Island and plunder the spiritual fields while the defense is at its weakest. Gu Yu thought about it and felt that it was indeed feasible. However, there was one thing that puzzled him. But after listening to what you just said about the strength of Xiao Tian's army, I feel that even the orcs left to defend will be very strong. With the strength of your demolition union, it should be very difficult to break into the inner island. At this moment, a few figures appeared not far away. Who said you're the only one invited? Wu Guoyi, who was carrying a giant sword on his shoulder, slowly walked over with steady steps. Son of the Sea, I like it very much. I'll reserve one. Yi Shui walked over slowly with hundreds of her subordinates. Everyone who sees it has a share. I want one too. Chun Ziyu's voice came from the other side. Why did you call so many people? Guyu looked at Lu Chai with a gloomy expression. Insect Island's defense is just as you said. It's extremely strong. Therefore, to be on the safe side, we must unite today. Once we conquer Insect Island, each of our 5 guilds will take 2 floors. As for the Son of the Sea, since there are only 4 of them, the Demolition Union must take 1. The remaining 3 will be decided by the 4 guilds by drawing lots. You already have 1. Can't you be more modest? Sun Chi, who was squatting beside Guyu, could not help but interrupt. Lu Chai spread out his hands and said, as the initiator, it's only natural that I'll be given preferential treatment. You guys can decide if you're willing or not. Upon hearing this, the other 4 fell into silence. However, at this stage, the position of Insect Island was still in Lu Chai's hands. It could be said that the initiative was on his side. Regarding this proposal, the few of them agreed to it after much consideration. Then, the 5 of them discussed on the beach how to carry out this operation. After an hour of debate, in the end, the most powerful guild, the Myth Guild, would be the bait while the other guilds would launch a fierce attack on Insect Island after Xiao Tian led his army out of the island. After finalizing the plan, the 5 guilds began to gather people in the guild live chat channel, gathering all the players who were scattered in various areas. In order to ensure the efficiency of this cooperation, the 5 guilds connected to the same channel to facilitate communication and ensure that there would be no accidents in this plan. After the preparations were complete, Lu Chai led his subordinates to board the demolition ship and sailed to Insect Island. At the same time, the Revenge ship, Angel ship, and Great Dragon ship followed from afar. Meanwhile, the members of the Myth Guild went straight to the deserted Fallen Fish Island, planning to station there and prepare to welcome the arrival of Xiao Tian's army. The 5 guilds, with a huge combat power of nearly 5,000 people, began their first strategic cooperation. Once again, they boarded Insect Island. This time, the orcs who were familiar with Lu Chai no longer guarded against him. Instead, they went straight to report to Xiao Tian. Meanwhile, Xiao Tian quickly arrived at the dock. Is there any news? Xiao Tian asked expectantly. Lu Chai pretended to be calm and nodded. Congratulations, Island Master Xiao Tian. The force behind this has been found. However, this force has tens of thousands of people, so this time I did not help you capture the mastermind. Lu Chai purposely said that the number of people stationed in the Myth Guild was 10 times more. His purpose was naturally to let Xiao Tian lead more forces in the inner island. Great! Xiao Tian excitedly took 2 steps forward and patted Lu Chai's shoulder. Where's the mastermind? I'll capture him myself. It's just tens of thousands of people. Even if it's hundreds of thousands, we, the Sea King Navy, still have the final say in the void ocean. Xiao Tian was very excited when he heard that he had found the mastermind. He was not afraid of how powerful the enemy was. The most troublesome problem was that he could not find the mastermind. This group of forces should have come from the Outer Sea region. At this time, they are stationed on Fallen Fish Island. If Isla Master wants to capture the people behind the scenes, you should do so as soon as possible, because while I was tracking them, they seemed to have noticed me, so they could move at any time. Xiao Tian nodded. All right, I'd like to thank the demolition traders for their help. Wait for me here. I'll give you the 100 derived spiritual rice after I've captured the mastermind. Lu Chai calmly nodded. By the way, Island Master, I have to remind you that this force is very mysterious. Their strength is also unfathomable. You'd better be careful. Upon hearing this, Xiao Tian's expression froze. I've noticed this too. I've tried everything I could to force the 3 thieves that you brought to me, but I couldn't get any useful information out of them. What surprised me even more was that I didn't know what kind of race these creatures belonged to. They turned into black fog and dissipated after they died. Not even their souls were left behind. It's unbelievable. Lu Chai nodded. In order to ensure that you can capture the thieves, do you need me to lend you some more troops? Lu Chai naturally did not mean to lend him troops. He was just trying to provoke Xiao Tian by hinting that the mastermind behind Fallen Fish Island was very powerful. However, Xiao Tian was still very confident. In the Void Ocean, the Sea King Navy is really not afraid of these foreign forces. Even if it's a dragon, it'll still have to stay put. I can handle it. Men, mobilize the orc army and follow me to the sea to capture the mastermind. Chapter 101. They had their reasons for choosing Fallen Fish Island. Among the islands that the players had explored, Fallen Fish Island was the furthest away from Insect Island. Moreover, Fallen Fish Island was not guarded by any forces. It was a good place for Gu Yu and the others to be prepared without worrying about being chased away by other sea tribes. All assassins spread out to both sides and used Shadow Step to find an opportunity to assassinate. However, they encountered 300 orcs patrolling the area. Soon, nearly 10,000 heavily armored orcs lined up from the inner island and assembled in front of the dock. The members of the 4 major guilds raised their weapons and responded. After making sure that Xiao Tian's army had disappeared from sight, Lu Chai quickly shouted in the public live chat channel. After conveying the message to the other 4 guilds, Lu Chai faced the orcs who were still on guard at the dock and smiled. The orc quickly turned around and left. Then, the leader of the orc patrolling army turned to face the players and raised his battle axe. In a short while, more than 1,000 sea beasts gathered in the sea in front of the dock. It was a spectacular scene. As Lu Chai's voice trailed off, the 2 warriors behind him stepped forward at the same time, raised their battle axes, and slashed at the orc's head. You're familiar with the inner island. We'll listen to your command this time. Wu Guai looked at Lu Chai and said. The blue water droplet began to melt upon contact with water. Ripples and bubbles appeared on the surface of the sea. Gather quickly. We don't have much time. Let's see how long Brother Gu Yu can resist. Seeing that the reinforcements had arrived, Lu Chai took off his white armor and changed into his own purple armor. After killing the orc, Lu Chai waved his hand and signaled the members on the warship to disembark. Gu Yu, pay attention. Xiao Tian is here. Hold them off for a while. The other 3 guilds get ready to disembark. At the back of the player's army, water cannon turrets gradually formed and bombarded the orc patrolling army with densely packed water cannons. The 2 waves of power collided with each other. Are you sure? Soon, 3 guild warships appeared in sight and quickly headed toward the dock. At this moment, the melodious sound of a horn came from the inner island. Following Lu Chai's roar, the assassin players in the middle of the team dispersed and turned into phantoms, attacking the orc patrolling army from both sides. That's a pity. Kill. The attack was too sudden, and the Beastman had no time to react. Fortunately, he had the protection of his helmet, but he was still dizzy from the huge force. After everything was ready, Xiao Tian waved his hand, and the huge sea beast army set off in the direction of the Fallen Fish Island. Originally, there were also troops stationed on the Vine Bridge in front of the inner island. However, the deployment this time had obviously transferred these troops away. This made Lu Chai feel more confident. As they approached the dock, Wu Guai and the rest quickly walked down the stairs and came to Lu Chai's side. The orcs were shocked to see the player army. After all, the island hadn't been invaded in many years, so the sudden appearance of so many invaders stunned them. Xiao Tian's action of mobilizing a large number of garrisons in the inner island was exactly what Lu Chai wanted to see. The front lines on both sides were filled with heavy armors and heavy weapons. In the battle, the muscles of the warriors on both sides expanded and contracted with every swing of their arms. Sparks flew when their weapons collided. The intensity of a head-on battle was fully displayed. The leader of the orc patrolling army immediately reached out and grabbed an orc beside him. Go and sound the alarm, quick! The guild members who participated in the sneak attack knew what was on the island. They also had a share of the resources, so they were in high spirits at the moment. The orc was obviously stunned when he heard this. He quickly shook his head and said, "Without the order of the island master, no one is allowed to enter the inner island." Under Lu Chai's lead, the guild coalition crossed the Vine Bridge and went straight to the inner island. Of course, this is the rules set by the island master. How could be changed? Due to the urgency of this battle, they knew that Guyu's strength would not be able to hold on for long. Therefore, Lu Chai and the rest were extremely anxious and naturally did not hold back. "Brother, can you invite us into the inner island for a seat?" Seeing this, the other orcs began to climb on the back of the sea beast. Along with a flash of cold light, the assassin players would always strike at the critical moment to kill the injured orcs. Hearing this, Wu Guai and the rest who were hiding in the waters near the island immediately summoned their warship and sailed toward Insect Island. Just as he was about to shout, he saw Lu Chai take a step forward. Red light flashed on his body as he pushed his strength to the maximum. He punched the orc's face hard. Only by combining the strength of the 4 guilds and going all out in one go would they have the strength to fight. The guild members here were the top among the players. At this moment, every player displayed their skills as a top player. For a moment, hundreds of orcs were killed and retreated. Their numbers kept decreasing. "Let's go. Don't let the thieves get away." Xiao Tian leaped and landed on the back of a huge sea beast that looked like a whale. After entering the inner island, the players went straight to the first spiritual field under Lu Chai's lead. After the guild members had assembled, Lu Chai did not directly attack the inner island. Instead, he waited. After waiting for a while, many huge black shadows appeared on the surface of the sea. One after another, huge sea beasts leaped out of the sea, and their numbers were increasing. The punch was so powerful that it dented the orc's face and killed it instantly. Although the guilds often fought, they knew each other well. Lu Chai was a hot-tempered person, but as the leader of the guild, everyone admired his personal ability. "Kill!" Lu Chai immediately shouted. Then, thousands of players roared and charged toward the orc patrolling troops. Although Yuli Coast was further away from Insect Island, they naturally would not lead the disaster to other players. Hence, Fallen Fish Island was their best choice. Even so, the distance between the 2 islands was only about 2 hours. Hence, they were pressed for time. Although most of the defensive forces on the inner island had been transferred, the remaining orcs were still extremely powerful. However, the strength of their guild was definitely not a match for them. The berserkers and rune masters at the front row rushed forward and collided with the orcs, engaging in close combat. "My friends from the demolition traders, wait here. I'll come back immediately after capturing the culprit." Xiao Tian took out a blue water droplet from his armor and threw it into the sea. Lu Chai nodded and raised his fist. "Brothers, glory, splendor, wealth, and rank are at hand. Let's kill. How dare you offend the Sea King Navy? Kill." Chapter 102. As the warning horn sounded, the orcs guarding the inner island were all alerted. Knowing that the orc army was coming, Lu Chai shouted in the live chat channel again, "Kill these orcs first and prepare to fight the army." Upon hearing this, the players' attacks became more aggressive. Some of the players even seized the opportunity to hug the orcs, trading lives for lives to create opportunities for their teammates to kill them. After all, trading lives for lives was definitely a good deal for the players. Under such a crazy attack, the hundreds of orcs were soon left with only a few dozen people. The remaining orcs knew that they could not win and were ready to escape. However, all the assassin players quickly closed in and launched a collective attack. After a wave of fierce attacks, the orc patrol team was completely annihilated. "Quick, the first spiritual field, take it all." Lu Chai pointed at the direction of the spiritual field and shouted. After slightly adjusting their formation, the players immediately headed toward the spiritual field. After running for about 5 minutes, a spiritual field with a faint golden spiritual mist appeared in front of the players. Meanwhile, the several dozen orcs stationed around the spirit field stared at the player army in horror. "Kill!" Accompanied by a deafening battle cry, the players charged again. At this time, the leader of the orcs quickly took out an item from his pocket and pulled a hard. Suddenly, a cloud of thick green mist floated into the air. He is sending a signal. Everyone, pay attention. Warriors, block the attack. Assassins, sorcerers, collect the spiritual materials. Collect everything first. Upon hearing Lu Chai's order, the berserkers tensed up and directly crashed into the dozens of orcs. Wave after wave of impact, the dozens of orcs were directly pushed out of the spiritual field. The players at the back were ecstatic. They quickly began to collect the spiritual materials and store them into the space. At the same time, the Son of the Sea in the middle of the spiritual field was directly uprooted by the players and stuffed into the space. The first spiritual field was easily swept by the players. The dozens of orcs were surrounded and killed after collecting the spiritual materials. Just as Lu Chai led the players to the second spiritual field, they encountered an army of more than 1,000 orcs who had gathered after seeing the signal flare. Seeing this scene, Lu Chai and the others tensed up. Prepare for battle. Following Lu Chai's roar, the players waited solemnly. The orc leader, who had already noticed the players, swung his wolf fang mace forward. The muscles on his body expanded and he roared. Another great battle broke out. The players no longer had an advantage in this battle. Although they outnumbered the orcs, the strength of a single orc was equivalent to that of several players. Especially this orc leader, its ability was much stronger than the Ghost Supreme Commander that the players had killed previously. Seeing this scene, Lu Chai's expression froze. Currently, the players only had a slight advantage in the battle against the orcs. It was not a solution to be dragged on like this. By the time Xiao Tian returned with his army, everything would be too late. Send a team of assassins from each guild, activate Shadow Step, and head to the other spirit fields to steal spiritual materials. I've sent the coordinates to the channel. Hurry. When Wu Guoyi and the others heard this, they quickly dispatched a group of assassins through the guild voice chat and ordered them to steal the spiritual materials according to the coordinates on the map. After Lu Chai's order was given, four groups of figures flashed out from the players' camp and headed toward the designated coordinates. Stop them! When the orc chieftain saw the players dispersing, it immediately realized what they were trying to do and hurriedly shouted to the rear. Immediately, the orc army split into 4 groups and chased after the fleeing assassin players. Of course, Lu Wu noticed the players' actions and was observing them in real time. This battle was also very important to Lu Wu. According to Bai Li, as long as they won this battle, the derived spiritual rice obtained by the players would be enough to help him transform into a human again and learn his first ability, the power of the Dark Beast. Moreover, Lu Wu realized that Gu Yu and the others who were stationed at Fallen Fish Island had started a direct confrontation with Xiao Tian. The battle on Fallen Fish Island was different from this one. It was completely one-sided. Even if Gu Yu had the inheritance of the demonic god, it was still not enough in front of Xiao Tian, who had reached the level of a ghost general. The battle only lasted for less than 30 minutes before it ended quickly. All the players of the Myth Guild were annihilated, and Gu Yu and the others who were the leaders were captured alive. At the same time, on the coast of Fallen Fish Island, Xiao Tian looked at Gu Yu, who was captured alive, and asked with a ferocious expression, "Where is the Son of the Sea now?" Gu Yu did not answer. Instead, he lowered his pain level to buy some time. However, to Gu Yu's surprise, Xiao Tian, who was about to interrogate him, suddenly changed his expression. Just now, the communication gem on his body suddenly flashed a red danger signal. This immediately made Xiao Tian realize that the inner island was under attack. Thinking of the encounter in the battle, he recalled why the forces behind the scenes were so weak. Moreover, their numbers did not reach the tens of thousands as mentioned by the demolition traders. Everything seemed very unreasonable. Then, Xiao Tian immediately turned around and roared at the back. "Everyone, get on the sea monsters. Hurry back to Insect Island. We've fallen into a trap." Xiao Tian's reaction made Gu Yu's expression change. He had no idea how Xiao Tian knew that Insect Island was under attack. If he let Xiao Tian rush back now, this plan would most likely fail. He immediately said, "Xiao Tian, don't you want to know where the Son of the Sea is? I'll tell you." However, to Gu Yu's surprise, Xiao Tian suddenly turned around with a ferocious expression and gave him a hard slap on his head, killing him on the spot. Then, Xiao Tian looked at the other players and waved his claws. Streaks of black light streaked across, killing all the players that Xiao Tian was about to torture leaving only Sun Chi alive. However, Sun Chi was not killed. Instead, he was grabbed by Xiao Tian and jumped on the back of the sea beast, heading towards Insect Island quickly. In the direction of Insect Island, the two sides were in a stalemate. Neither side had an absolute advantage. This gave Lu Chai a headache. He quickly divided a part of his forces to support the team of players who were going to plunder spiritual materials. Although the pressure of a head-on battle had increased, their goal was to plunder spiritual materials. If they could not get the spiritual materials, it would be their failure even if they won the head-on battle. At the same time, the assassin players who were sent out earlier began to report the plundering information in the live chat channel. 3 of the groups of players were intercepted by the orcs who were guarding the spiritual fields. One of them succeeded in stealing a special spiritual material from one of the spiritual fields. However, the orcs who knew that they were no match for the orcs decided to surround the Son of the Sea. They were now breaking through the defense line, and the Son of the Sea had yet to succeed. According to the feedback from the players who were sent out, Lu Chai would send people from the players who were fighting head-on to support them from time to time. The pressure on the front line was getting stronger. At this moment, countless sea monsters appeared on the coastline of Insect Island. Xiao Tian's eyes flashed with anger when he saw the island. He leaped from the back of the sea monster and galloped on the waves towards the dock of Insect Island. Chapter 103. On Insect Island, Lu Chai, who was fighting with the orc army, was still dispatching his men. Suddenly, his expression changed. This was because Sun Chi had informed him in a live chat channel that Xiao Tian had arrived on Insect Island and discovered their actions. Lu Chai was annoyed. He had underestimated the strength of the garrison on Insect Island. However, it was too late now. He immediately shouted in the live chat channel, "Everyone, scatter and loot the spiritual materials according to the coordinates. Take as many as you can. Xiao Tian is back." Upon hearing Lu Chai's order, Wu Guoyi and the others quickly ordered their men to scatter. The orcs broke through the players' battle line in an instant. Many of the berserkers at the front fell, while the orcs went straight for the sorcerers at the back and started a massacre. However, the players no longer had the intention to continue fighting. After each of them chose a direction, they scattered and rushed toward the spiritual fields. At this moment, a loud wolf howl was heard above the island. Then, a huge blue wolf shadow swept past quickly. All the players who came into contact with the wolf shadow were covered in blue flames, and their bodies quickly melted. As the blue wolf shadow continued to move, the number of players decreased rapidly. This increased the pressure on the players, and they were completely in a desperate situation. "The boss is back. Kill them." The orc leader immediately roared, and the entire orc camp's morale rose. At this point, the battle was nearing its end. Lu Chai and the others were scattered around the spiritual fields, still carrying out the final plundering. At this stage, it was a profit to take one more spiritual plant. Therefore, the players completely gave up on fighting and rushed toward the spiritual fields. "Ow!" Xiao Tian roared again. 3 blue wolf shadows came out of his body and rushed toward the remaining 3 spiritual fields while he stood guard at the end of the vine bridge. At this moment, Xiao Tian was furious. He did not expect himself to be tricked. The demolition chamber of commerce and the person behind the scenes were all lies. The real person behind the scenes was the so-called demolition chamber of commerce. Recalling that Lu Chai once said that the person behind the scenes was actually still thinking about the other 4 sons of the sea in the inner island, Xiao Tian felt like vomiting blood. After a while, the orcs who went out also returned together and carried out a big purge on the remaining players. This time, the players no longer had the ability to resist. One by one, they were killed and turned into a black fog as they logged out of the game. Xiao Tian, who returned to the inner island again, looked at the ruined spirit fields, and his heart was bleeding. However, what made him even more desperate was yet to come. All the orcs searched the entire inner island and were horrified to find that the spiritual materials and the Son of the Sea that were looted by the invaders had mysteriously disappeared once again. Before, Xiao Tian controlled the Shadow Wolf and stationed himself on the Vine Bridge, because he was afraid that someone would escape and take away the spiritual materials. He didn't expect that even if a player didn't slip away, these spiritual materials still disappeared. This made Xiao Tian's face pale. He knew he was finished. The Sea King would never let him off. After contemplating for a while, Xiao Tian looked down at Sun Qi, who was caught in his hand, and his face looked slightly better. This white phantom was a spiritual beast of the world. Consuming it could increase one's cultivation, and its value was not lower than a son of the sea. He could only hope that offering this white phantom would earn the Sea King's forgiveness. Sun Qi, who was caught in Xiao Tian's hand, looked very depressed when he saw that all the other players were killed and he was still alive. He couldn't help but stretch out his little foot and kick Xiao Tian's waist. "When are you going to kill me?" Xiao Tian was stunned when he heard Sun Qi. "Are you talking? We're all dogs. Please let me go." Sun Qi looked at Xiao Tian and said expectantly, "Dog? I'm a sea wolf demon, and you're a white phantom, not a dog." However, Xiao Tian's expression immediately froze. "You can talk? Are you a mutant?" Sun Qi was stunned, and his face showed a constipated expression. It was sad enough that he became a dog, and now he was a mutant. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't defeat Xiao Tian, he really wanted to fight him for 300 rounds. "Do you know where the spiritual materials are hidden by those creatures?" "I'll let you go as long as you tell me," Xiao Tian suddenly asked. Hearing this, Sun Qi spread out his hands. "Then just kill me." Originally, Xiao Tian was going to offer Sun Qi to the Sea King. However, after confirming that Sun Qi could really talk, he suddenly wanted to extort a confession from him to see if he could get some useful information. Maybe there was a chance to get the Son of the Sea back. However, at this moment, an orc hurriedly came to report. "Boss, there's a big ship at the dock. They said that it's a member of the Sea Trade Association, and they even brought the token of the Sea King." Hearing this, Xiao Tian's anger rose again. He let out a long roar, and his body floated in the air, sweeping towards the dock. At the dock, a green-skinned, fat man was waiting with his eyes squinted. At this moment, Xiao Tian's figure suddenly fell from the sky and hit the ground, causing him to tremble in fear. However, after seeing that it was Xiao Tian, the man heaved a sigh of relief and took out the token of the Sea King, the Grass of Emptiness. "Lord Xiao Tian, I'm Cuttlefish from the West Continent Trade Association. With the Sea King's approval, I'm here to retrieve the Son of the Sea." Looking at the Grass of Emptiness, Xiao Tian's eyes widened. "Good lad, you even managed to get the Sea King's void grass. You won't stop until you've taken all the sons of the sea on Insect Island." Cuttlefish was stunned. How can the Grass of Emptiness be fake? Moreover, the West Continent Trade Association had to pay a huge price to exchange for the Son of the Sea from the Sea King. However, the Sea King told me that the Son of the Sea is with you. As long as I show you the token, you'll give it to me. Hearing this, Xiao Tian's eyes were filled with anger. He reached out and grabbed Cuttlefish's neck, slowly lifting him up. Previously, it was the Demolition Merchant, and now it's the West Continent Trade Association. You're really capable, coming up with a series of scams. You really want to kill me, but this time, as he spoke, the muscles on Xiao Tian's right hand swelled, and with a crack, Cuttlefish's neck was broken. Before he died, Cuttlefish still had a look of disbelief on his face. He did not know what was going on. He came according to the Sea King's order, and even brought the token. But while looking at the other accompanying merchants who began to board the ship and escape, Xiao Tian let out a long roar. A huge blue wolf shadow appeared above his head, and with a wave of its sharp claws, the entire specter ship was cut in half. Xiao Tian said coldly to the merchants who fell into the water, "Kill them all. Leave no one alive." Chapter 104. After the battle on Insect Island, according to Lu Wu's statistics, the players had plundered a total of 428 derived spiritual rice and one Son of the Sea. Lu Wu was surprised by the bountiful harvest. Even Lu Wu, the mastermind behind the scenes, did not know whether to laugh or cry at the players' outrageous actions. It confirmed his belief that the potential of the players who developed freely was truly limitless. There were surprises happening all the time. However, After the battle, Luwu had spent more than 200,000 soul coins to purchase special spiritual materials, which made his heart ache. Of course, the guild master did not keep all the soul coins to himself. All the participants had received the rewards they deserved, giving the players who participated in the raid on Insect Island a bountiful harvest. It could be said that after the battle, the strength of the 5 guilds had once again skyrocketed. As for the only Son of the Sea that they obtained, the members of the Great Dragon Guild handed it over to Chunziyu after they went online. Chunziyu fulfilled his promise and gave the only Son of the Sea to Lu Chai. The battle of the raid on Insect Island was quickly spread by word of mouth among the players. While everyone was envious, many of them had their eyes on Lu Chai, especially Guyu, who offered a high price to buy the Son of the Sea from Lu Chai. However, Lu Chai firmly rejected all the buyers, stating that he planned to consume the Son of the Sea himself to strengthen his talent. This made many players who desired the Son of the Sea sigh in unison, thinking that Lu Chai's behavior was a waste of a treasure. However, Lu Chai was not a person who lacked money, so he did not care. It was also because of this battle that the players yearned for the islands and the sea even more. The professional players in the forum immediately took action and formed a small group called the Sea Walkers, which specialized in exploring the sea. Then, they made maps of the explored areas and posted them on the forum for other players to view. Luwu was very impressed by the technical posts of these professional players. In order to support these professional players, Luwu added a new function to the forum: post reward. In other words, as long as the players approved of the technical posts, they could use this function to reward the original poster. Luwu's action was naturally to stimulate the creativity of the players, so that the entire force of the players could develop faster. However, Luwu posted on the official website to ask for suggestions from the players on whether the reward should be in coins or soul coins. However, the players' response was very uniform. All of them replied in soul coins. Every player's thirst for soul coins was terrifying. There was even a player who posted an analysis of the value of soul coins on the forum that put Luwu to shame. Calculating the value of soul coins according to the data, I came to a terrifying conclusion. Original poster: poverty makes me trash. First of all, this isn't a technical post. I'm just trying to educate everyone about the horrifying fact that Battle Online doesn't have an official top-up channel for soul coins. Next, I will analyze the coins that we have now and use them as a comparison target for soul coins. According to the data chart, the inflation rate in Chi Dragon is 2.9% every year. According to this trend, 5 million, for example, will be equivalent to 3.75 million in 10 years. However, in terms of the real price of goods, the real price of goods in Chi Dragon this year was 4 times higher than at the end of 1996, which meant an annual increase of around 8%. Therefore, if the real price increase was used to calculate, then 5 million yuan in 10 years would be equivalent to 2.31 million yuan today. However, knock on the blackboard, if we calculate at the speed of our country's printing of money, the annual growth rate would be about 16.3%. In that case, in 2329, which is 10 years later, 5 million yuan would only be equivalent to 1 million yuan today. After the calculation, the OP took a deep breath and couldn't help but sigh in horror. A few million yuan evaporated just like that. The OP wanted to cry. So I know, I'm a poor guy. How could I have 5 million yuan? That was close. I almost lost a lot. Then, let's analyze our soul coins. Since soul coins have only been around for a few months, the amount of calculation was not huge. However, there was one thing that everyone was clear about. The price of soul coins had been rising continuously. Although this was closely related to the demand of the rich players, knock on the blackboard. If you think that it was the rich players who caused the increase in soul coins, then you are gravely mistaken. Let me ask you one thing. Has anyone ever thought of spending money on games? The OP's monthly salary was 85,000 yuan, which was considered low in the country. However, I still wanted to spend money on games all the time. My friends who played games with me did spend money on soul coins. Therefore, the rise in soul coins caused by the rich players was only one of the reasons. The more important reason was the large number of players who spent money on games. Back to the topic at hand, about the increase in the price of soul coins. Since the OP only started playing 10 days after the server was launched, I'm not sure about the price at that time. However, I did check the information. The price of soul coins in the server was first purchased by a player named Yi Schwerer is the cutest. The initial price was 300 soul coins. However, in just 10 days, the price of soul coins skyrocketed to 800, an increase of more than 6 times. However, this was not the end. Although the price of soul coins did not increase as fast as before, it was approaching the 1,000 yuan mark. What did this mean? It meant that even if you did not use the soul coins, your assets would still rise at a level that far exceeded the price increase. Of course, the premise of the OP's analysis was that the game would continue to run. Another thing to mention, this lousy game is fun. As long as Battle Company dares to run it, I dare to keep playing. Finally, I attached the OP's prediction. 10 years as proof. Based on the original poster's prediction of this game will definitely become popular all over the world. If that day really comes, high energy ahead. If that day really comes, there will be a universal currency that is very safe and stable in value. This currency can be exchanged with money from any country. Are you shocked? Note that the OP is talking about universal currency. That is soul coins. As soon as the player's analysis post appeared, it caused a heated discussion among the players. Crayon_Shinchan. I wanted to argue with the OP, but I suddenly realized that I didn't study enough. Let's just say 666. Watermelon_Taro. My salary is 38,000 yuan. I'm almost at the bottom of the poverty line, but I've actually spent money several times. I agree with what the OP said. Popeye_Sailor. To be honest, I also have the same idea, but I feel that it's very absurd. Anyway, I'll leave a mark and dig out the post 10 years later. Shueli_the_strongest. The premise is that the game becomes popular all over the world, but I support the OP's speculation. Let's stock up on soul coins and wait for the value to rise. I'm not Bailey. Leave a mark, let's wait and see. Staff_maker. You've convinced me. OP, please leave me an address. I'm ready to make a big wave. If I lose all my money, I'll come to you. The OP replied to Staff_maker. Then if I make a profit, will I get bonus? Sparkling eyes.